Haha, fuck you, tech difficulties. Good good evening, everyone. Ladies, gentlemen, days and gays. This is The Real Pineapples, your humble host, Hunter, a very tired hunter. So quick story time. I was in bed early last night. I was in bed by 10, which for me is very early. And oh, actually, I can introduce Brandon. Brandon, hello.
Hey.
But I went to bed pretty early last night, at least for me. And I got woken up at 3 a.m. by our adorable ginger cat who was at the gate trying to scale it because he's way too goddamn smart and knows how to climb the gate now. And so that was a thing. And so I had to go out and calm him down. And then by that time, I was fucking awake. So I was like, fuck it. I might as well stay awake. So I stayed awake until about 7, passed out for about 90 minutes, and here we are. So feeling like an actual streamer because I have 3 different drinks here. I have water, I have coffee, and then I have a cran mango, pineapple, and Malibu mixed drink. Yeah, because we're heading to summer, you know. So
That's very
so I don't have any real oh my god, I'm a dick. I'm sorry. Let me introduce my guest here first. I mentioned I'm a little tired. I know, so rude. Brandon, fellow nerd podcaster, one of my favorite people. Brandon's been on multiple times, and he's absolutely delightful. So Brandon, thank you so much for making the time. I appreciate you. And then of course I've been on his show multiple times. I'm still waiting for that free sub. God damn it, Joshua. You know him as host on the
dude. It's not Josh's fault. It's mine. I'm in charge of ordering the subs, but they keep coming to my house. So no, I have a sandwich and I'm kind of hungry, so I might as well eat.
God damn, fair enough. You know him from the Afternoon Tune. A really great TikTok, by the way. Check out his theater reactions. I highly recommend. Everyone's favorite sneakerhead. Got Nick here. Nick, thanks for joining.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here.
So we don't really have an agenda outside of Dune Part 2 and X-Men 97. I couldn't even find my lighter, so I had to go into my weed drawer and grab another lighter. I'm just
Dune Part 2, aka a jihad started by you, all right, white boy.
It's really weird how much crossover there actually is between X-Men 97 and Dune Part 2 about its very clear very clear metaphors that they're making, and how I'm seeing people online just swing and miss, and it makes me very sad.
well, a lot of that with Dune was because those books were written back in 64 with Frank Herbert. So a lot of sci-fi as we know it, a lot of stuff like Alien, like Star Wars, to an extent, the later versions of Star Trek, a lot of it was influenced by Dune.
Yeah, I'll say that. And John Carter is owed a debt to a lot of sci-fi, which is really ironic because that movie is not great.
Well, it's a case of this movie is cool in concept, and it's the source material inspired a lot of what we know of as sci-fi today. So by the time an actual adaptation of John Carter comes out, everybody is just going to say, okay, this was done better in Star Wars. This is done better in Superman.
Very, very true. So before we get into reviews proper, I have a rant, and I've been thinking about this all week, and it's been pissing me off. So
here we go.
We're in an election season. My least favorite time, being a human being. I fucking hate election season, and we're getting Grumpier Old Men Part 2. It's like which old white guy do you want to vote for? The one that's kind of racist, or the one that is extremely racist and sexist?
The one that kind of denies it, and the one that just leans into it.
Yeah, who do you want, kids? And I'm just gonna say, I mean, I'm voting for Biden, but there's no part of me that's happy about it, considering what's going on in the Middle East. And I mean, I'm unemployed right now, so I'm not a fan of like anyone right now. It's like fix the job market, fuckers. But what I will say is I came across that Harrison Butker college speech that he gave, and look, I talk a lot of shit, proud of it, by the way. And I was sitting there, I got 3 minutes in, and I was like, I'm actually impressed that someone could be this shitty and say it to a microphone and believe it. Like I was like, holy fuck. So I watched the whole thing. I watched the whole 20-minute speech. And by the end, I was like, dude, like it's okay. I don't know. I know there are people who like Hawaiian pizza. I'm not a fan of it, but it's like, okay, you like Hawaiian pizza? Cool. Like to each their own. I just don't like pineapple on my pizza.
Okay.
That is a we can agree to disagree sort of thing. When it comes to going, hey, women, you have no value until you're knocked up. It's like, you're a fucking asshole. Like there's no agree to disagree. You're just fundamentally a piece of shit. And as a black dude, I've been a huge Patrick Mahomes fan. I've really been a huge fan of his. And to see him be so flippant and be so, well, it's my teammate, we're not always going to agree. As a black dude, you should know. You do know better. I know you know better. And you're playing in the middle of a, let me check my numbers here, a 10-year, $450 million contract. You saying that he's an asshole will affect you in no way, shape, or form at all. Okay, barely, not enough to cause. He's also a part owner of the Kansas City Royals, so he's getting money there too.
Oh shit, he'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll.
I didn't know. I don't follow football, so I can't really speak to that. But
and that's fine. And that's not including his T-Mobile endorsement and all this other shit. And Mahomes is fine. Trust me, Mahomes is fine. And so to see him be so why is it I don't know, but I don't agree. But it's like, dude, the whole freedom of speech thing. And by the way, people, if y'all could open up a fucking social studies book from 92, it would be fucking amazing to know what free speech actually fucking means. In that there's a reason why you can't say bomb on an airplane. You can say bomb on an airplane, but you say bomb on an airplane.
You're welcome to try.
Very welcome to.
Yeah, like in the same way that Trump would be welcome to say the N-word in Compton, and there would be consequences if he were to say that shit. It's like you're free to say whatever the fuck you want, but freedom of speech does not mean freedom of consequences. Why people cannot grasp that simple ass concept, it infuriates me. And as a dude, I get there's always one of those guys who will come out and say something like this, and I go, oh, that's why lesbians exist. Because you see a guy like this and you go, oh wow, I would never fuck that person. It's like,
and 2024 has basically presented us with the 4 horsemen of why women chose the bear.
Yeah, dude,
and TikTok.
And the amount of guys who are not getting that too, it's like, y'all, just read the room, talk to any woman. I guarantee you they will have some story where you go, no way, and then you'll go, oh, that's why they choose the bear. And seeing those comments, it's like, man, I had a couple conversations with some friends about it. Even, I was talking to my partner about it, and even she was just like, yeah, it's amazing how guys just aren't getting this. So if you have an opposing view, I would honestly encourage you to talk to someone, and try to have a conversation. I know it's hard these days, but if you believe in anything that Harrison Butker said, first off, you're an idiot. I can't express that enough. The fact that his mother had such a high-end job too, it's like, you asshat. It's just dude, cancer research or something like that, I think is what it was. Medical research. Yeah. But here's the other thing. there were people clapping for his speech, and I just went. I was like, man, if you're a dude and you're trying to get laid, you just told on yourselves.
Well, part of it is that the speech was at a Catholic university, so
yeah.
So points for knowing your audience, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny though. Like, I find it really just like boggles my mind that he gives a speech at a Catholic church, and it's like, man, I'm sorry, I thought the Catholic Church had a lot bigger issues to deal with than don't diddle kids, got to be big,
no, they're trying to hire Drake's ghostwriters to
Oh, okay. So
create a new hymn.
So you know what? We can talk about that real quick. So I know you're both huge. Like I know you're both huge just music fans.
I'm not as big into it. I'm like a little bit unfamiliar with the whole rap beef. I just listened to most of the Kendrick tracks, and I tried listening to Family Matters, and I just said, yeah, this shit's boring.
Yeah. My friend, she was out in a club last night, and she actually took us. She's down in Austin, and she took a video of them playing "Not Like Us" and people sing along to it. I'm like, oh man.
Dude. I went on like a little vacation with my new partner last weekend, and the entire drive down, we were just like, I was trying to break down to the best of my knowledge the Kendrick Drake beef, and every day since I've come home from work, it's like she's playing "Not Like Us."
It's perfect. It's a perfect song. It's a song of the summer.
It really is, and it just
like some of the hardest bars of the year. It's like, once a guy like drops a bar like trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor,
you can't.
You can't. You're done. You're done. It's over.
I mean, I've been on the record. I like Drake's stuff probably up until nothing was the same. I think it was probably when the drop off really started.
Yeah, and even Kendrick in one of his tracks is like, I like Drake when he's like in the melodies, not when he's trying to act all hard.
Yeah, I'll be real. That's kind of how I feel about Jay-Z too. Like I don't like deep Jay-Z. It's like I like on to the next one, 99 Problems, like that Jay-Z. I like that Jay-Z. I like a Big Pimp and Jay-Z. But hearing Drake try to sound gangster, try to sound hood, it came across so disingenuous. Number one. And number two, man, like
it had a lot of vibes of like Miley's Can't Be Tamed era.
Oh, that's a really good comparison, actually. Yeah. And ironically enough, I feel about Drake now how I felt about Miley Cyrus back then, in the sense of like, I remember she was doing like the Mike Will Made It, that shit. And she's like, and then it's like, oh, cool, I got a little bit of black cred, back to pop I go, and it's like, oh, thanks for colonizing, bitch. Like and I think she gets. I don't think enough people bring that shit up enough. What up,
dude? It's pop culture and it's music. We have very short memories.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially in a year, like so much can happen. We're only halfway through this year, and so much shit has happened.
But it just feels like Drake got like it really feels like that opening sequence in the season 1 finale of Invincible, where it's just like like if you just like, come on, let's work together, like don't make me do this, and and Kendrick warned his ass multiple times, like you don't want to go down this road. And Drake's like, and that's the thing, Drake's never been that sort of rapper. He's never been like a big punchline, like he beat Meek Mill, but honestly, I could probably beat Meek Mill in a
I kind of like Meek Mill, but yeah,
I do too. But Drake actually like handed him his dinner on that, and I was like, oh, that sucks. And then Pusha T just like buried Drake. Yeah, like to a point where he'll be one of my favorite rappers of all time just for that, because that diss track is just mwah. But Kendrick actually made me start thinking about like Tyler Perry and Zack Snyder, where I'm like, do I hate them as much as it's you know what I mean? Like it makes you question how much you hate certain things. Because I was like, I hate like there's some shit I hate. Like Nick, I know we've talked about. I know you hate Night Swim. Like I know that is like your like that is one of your like.
I hate bad, boring horror movies on a level.
Yeah.
The only thing I hate more are badly directed action movies with actors that I know can fight.
Yeah, Snake Eyes. We're looking at you. Yeah,
yeah, I knew that was coming.
But as I'm just listening to all these Kendrick tracks, I'm just like, like to hate someone that much.
Yeah, I try not to be, but I know I am capable of hatred. I don't know if I'm like dropped 4 tracks within like the span of a week. Hatred.
Yeah, like that's the thing, man. Because there's levels to hatred too, and I think that's something that's like not talked about. Because like I'm mildly annoyed by like certain celebrities or certain artists or whatever, but man, like when I think about Tyler Perry, I think about Zack Snyder. I'm like, man, I really do hate these guys. And then I hear this shit. I'm like, wow, Kendrick hates Drake.
Do I really hate that?
Yeah,
am I capable of that kind of hate.
To say that you should die.
But then I remember that I work in IT, so yeah, I am in fact capable of that level of hatred.
That's the thing, man. Working with the public in general, like it oh man, it'll wear your ass down. Like that's part of the reason why if I go out somewhere, especially if I'm going out to a club or to a bar or something like that, there needs to be a reason because man, because people in general, like I've talked about it since COVID, like since lockdowns stopped. I think theater audiences especially, have been so goddamn rude. And I've gotten into more arguments with people in concession lines in the last 2 years than I had in the prior 8 doing the podcast. Like it's insane. Like I've seen people do this at concession people. So first off, I hate snapping. Because I think I associate with like a dog, you know. And so when I see people do that shit, it's like I get so like that gear just kind of unclicks and seeing the like the nature in which people are like, oh yeah, you owe me this. It's like, y'all, like you need to cut this shit out. And yeah, and so with that said, like the whole Drake thing, I think it's smart that he's just kind of going like, I'm not conceding defeat, but I'm not doing this anymore.
You didn't win. But I didn't lose either.
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Curses, you changed the outcome by measuring it.
Pretty much.
It's like those videos of for all of you people who might follow fighting. This guy on YouTube who is like, I think his name's Charlie Zelenoff. And he picks fights with random people in gyms, just starts beating the shit out of him. And the second somebody lands one good shot on him, he like cowers and runs away.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it was like he called out like Deontay Wilder, who at the time was like a heavyweight champion. It was saying vile shit about his daughter. And Deontay beat the ever-loving shit out of him. It's like this clip needs to be watched by everybody because it is beautiful.
Yeah, when I heard, so I will say, and I think about Super Ugly. I think about Ether. No Vaseline. Some of the best diss tracks ever. I think Meet the Grams might be my favorite one. Like it is such to talk to someone's mother and say that you raised a piece of shit son
to talk to like this guy's kid and say, I wish your grandfather used a condom.
Yeah, like it's such a level of like vile and venom that I was like, dude, like it was
the entire time.
Amazing. at 2K afternoon team says at 2K subs, I'll have Nick get in the ring with a lion. That is
Can't wait to see that. Yeah, hell yeah.
Now, I'm just thinking about Semi-Pro, which is one of the few funny bits from that movie. just Nick roundhouse kick. If Nick roundhouse kicked a lion, that would be the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Like I would just
that's cinema right there. I need to see that.
But as a Kendrick fan for years, and you know, like whether it's the Black Panther soundtrack, which is one of my favorite soundtracks ever, whether it's Mr. Morale, whether it's like Kendrick has not missed for me yet.
Damn, freaking Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah.
One of the best albums I've ever heard in my life.
Good Kid, Bad City is like,
like the dude just gets it. And I think about Drake's latest output, and I just, man, like it's
he has not released an album I've liked since I'd say Views, but maybe if you're reading this, it's too late.
Yeah, that's probably the last one for me. Like even like if you count the album he did with Future, I think that's a good album, not a great album. Because there's about 5 songs on there that I really like. Jumpman will actually get me hyped still, but that's maybe weirdly that's almost the album I kind of wanted from Linkin Park and Jay-Z. Like I wanted a full length album, not like an EP.
Not just like just putting Linkin Park lyrics over Jay-Z tracks, or vice versa.
Yeah, like that's really what I wanted, and it's how much money for Hunter to live listen to that Drake and Sexy Red album? There's not enough money in the world. There's no like.
Dude, I heard a clip of it. He rapped over the BBL Drizzy.
It was like I remember I saw this fucking TikTok. It was like Drake's PR manager. Yeah. It's like, God damn it, people are already letting go, and you had to remind him of it.
Well, it's crazy. There's this TikTok, and I think OVO actually went after this TikToker, but it's just this TikToker reading back.
Legal action. So yeah, you threaten legal action. It's like, okay.
Yeah, but
it's that shit.
But it's like this guy just reading back like sus Drake lyrics, and I was just like, and like you hear him out loud, and you're just like, because I think when you say it yourself, it almost like sometimes can go in one ear out the other. But hearing someone else say it, and you go like, wait a minute, he said that, and you're like, oh shit! Like Tyler the Creator made the fucking point on not Igor, Call Me When You're Lost. You know the whole. Till Drizzy got a milli form. It's like, dude, he was telling y'all back then, a couple years ago, that this guy was suspect. And Kendrick just came out, and yeah, I really think it might be the best diss track of all time. But Kendrick, if anything, it got Kendrick to drop new music quicker than he has.
Yeah, like
ever.
Even he was saying that that he was kind of going through a bit of a writer's block, and this beef just inspired him.
Love it.
And you know what's weird? I will say this, and I've said this before, but anytime I feel like kind of feeling a lull or feeling a lag reviewing wise, it feels like there's always a Snyder movie or there's always a Tyler Perry movie, and it's like, all right, crack the knuckles, like let's get back in the lab.
Yeah.
like I've got motivation again. But I will just say in closing, man, a tip of the cap to Kendrick, and just to hate someone that much, like, it's really inspired.
It's like he used hatred to basically give us the song of the summer. It's either Not Like Us, or it's that girl Sabrina Carpenter. It was like,
oh yeah, that's the
her shit's like popular.
Yeah, that's a good song. Yeah. But yeah, just Kendrick, bravo, and I'll be real, man. I wouldn't jaywalk past Kendrick's house. I'd be like, all right, sir. like, please don't yell at me. Don't write a
I am being the most. I'm putting on my best customer service voice. It's like, yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Real Pineapple's gonna suck an NPR podcast, but yeah, listen, Mr. Lamar, sir, is it okay to call you sir? But
Mr. Kendrick or sir. No.
So getting to our reviews proper, Dune Part 2. We will start with Dune Part 2. So I watched the first Dune back when it came out. I was gonna watch it go back to back. I just didn't have time, so just watched Dune Part 2. I watched the last hour of Dune, just kind of re-familiarize myself where it landed and stuff. I was like, okay, I kind of remember.
Yeah, that's really where the meat of Dune really comes in terms of how it plays into Part 2.
Yeah. So I know this is I've said it a lot of times on podcasts. I love when fandoms get to eat. As a Marvel nerd, I've already gotten more Marvel content than I ever thought. I got a Moon Knight show, for fuck's sake. I'm already like at this point, it's house money. I'm just like, cool, whatever else you make, awesome, sweetness.
You ain't never getting Blade though.
I do at this fucking rate, man. God damn it! We'll loop around that at the end of the show. Bob Iger, I blame Bob. Anyways, but I was gonna have a whole bit where I was gonna troll you both and act like I didn't like this, which I was kind of doing in the chat. Let me just throw it out there. I adore this movie.
Thank
you. This is a little sus.
I got the gloves hanging in the background on my thing. It's like
now let me put the caveat out there.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll be top 10 just because it's early in the year.
Okay.
And I said this shit about Blackberry last year, and then by the time I was doing my list, I was like, "Fuck, I can't find a spot on the list." And I felt like a dick. So I have to put that out there. With that said, the biggest compliment I can pay this film is I get it. I get Timothée Chalamet as a leading man.
You're Stilgar. You're like Lisan al-Gaib.
I felt like I had the water. I'm like, this is it. Like
Lisan al-Gaib.
I'm gonna even go a little deeper. I think Timothée Chalamet should be the first Best Actor nominee this year. I thought he was fucking brilliant in this. I was sitting there watching. I was like, okay, let's see, because I've heard your guys' reviews. I heard reviews from a couple other people that I genuinely respect their opinions, just like y'all. And I was like, okay, everyone I'm talking to is saying this is at least good at worst. So I'm like, okay, I'm hopeful that I'll at least like it. And as I'm sitting there watching it, I went, I don't know if Chalamet, and I'm not even being condescending when I say this, I don't know if Chalamet's voice has dropped or if he's grown. I don't know what it is, but he looks older. He kind of looks like Selena Gomez, Only Murders in the Building, season 2, where it's she's kind of out of that Disney phase, and you're like, okay, she looks like a woman now.
Yeah, it's like when he was cast in it, because in the book Paul is only supposed to be 16, and Timothée Chalamet could probably still pass for that age, but I think it also serves in the story with the journey that Paul Atreides goes on in this movie, is that he is meant to be growing older, more world weary, more mature.
But as I was sitting there watching Chalamet, I was like it feels like his voice is dropped maybe an octave. It feels like he's kind of grown to his face, because he has a very unique look to him as well. But as I was sitting there watching him on screen, I was like, dude, you get this, you fucking get this. There are multiple points in this movie where I was actually whoa, easy, shout, Wonka, easy, calm down. But so before we dive in, I just gotta say I'm very happy to see what other people saw in this movie. And so Brandon, I know you're a huge fan of this. I know you've watched it multiple times. So I'm gonna let you set up the plot, sir, if you wouldn't mind. So talk to us. What are we looking at in this?
Dune is about sand people.
Think Game of Thrones on a desert planet in space,
massive scale. And in the first one, we get hints of this is an intergalactic scale space opera. In this one, we really get it, because we're bouncing back and forth from like the Freemen on Arrakis. We're bouncing to the Hirokans on their planet, which is one of the coolest scenes in the movie.
We're bouncing between Arrakis, the conflict on there. We're bouncing to the Harkonnen and their homeworld, and the introduction of Fade Ralpha. We're bouncing to the Emperor of this whole place, played by Christopher Walken.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think like this movie, like Villeneuve is so good at parallels. Like this movie opens in a way that is similar to the first one. We get narration.
Yes.
And this one we get it from Florence Pugh, who is the daughter of Christopher Walken, the Emperor.
Fine as Florence Pugh. Let me just get that. Like, Lord have mercy. Like
it's like and I'll try to be as vague until we get to spoilers, but the whole like charm of Dune is that even though this on paper is a good guys win in the end, Paul kind of wins in like the best way possible. It was like this army avenges his father, is like he gets to marry Florence Pugh, lucky bastard.
It's so weird how I'll just say now full spoilers for this because it's been on Max. It's been on Max. It's been out. You should have watched it by now.
I mean, it's based on a book written in the 60s and is another adaptation of a movie that came out in the 80s.
Yeah, so you're fine. I will say about the ending myself is, man, what a wonderfully bittersweet ending. Because
it's like, and that's something that I had this conversation. It was like a guy who really loves the David Lynch version of that of Dune, and the ending in that movie is kind of played like this triumphant victory. It's like yes, Paul Atreides wins and all is good in the end. And in this movie, in Denis Villeneuve's version of it, and even in Frank Herbert's books after this, he understands it's like, no, this is a kind of horrific thing that is about to happen, because even though Paul wins, he avenges his father, he gets, the throne of the emperor, he gets a Rulin as his wife, he unleashes a plague onto the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
Millions of deaths upon his hand.
Billions dead.
Yeah.
Well, what's crazy
in his name, and that's something I loved about the first movie, is like when he gets that vision, Chalamet's horrified by it.
Yeah. And so I will say to get into the religious aspects of it, which I will say, if you didn't think it was subtle in the first one, it is less subtle in this one. Holy shit! Like
you have Javier Bardem being the greatest hype man in history,
which honestly we all kind of
I love. Like even though it's kind of played for laughs in this movie, I like that there is kind of this tinge of sadness to it.
Oh no,
Even the whole legend of the Lisan El Gaib, it's all a lie by the Bene Gesserit.
I think it even gets like sadder towards like the end, like because you see just how bought in he is to Paul and like his quest, and like he's literally leaving his planet to go fight the war, and he's like, Lisan El Gaib, like it's fully bought in, totally just it's great.
There is willing to die in front of all the Fremen.
It's so weird. Javier Bardem, it's like I don't think he's been bad in it. Like that
motherfucker does not miss.
He really doesn't. Like I make the joke, not even the joke because I like the film, but I remember when I'm sitting there watching Lyle Lyle Crocodile, I'm like, how the fuck is he good? Like how like he's talking to tennis balls and he gets it. It's like how like he's so good in everything. And to your point, Nick, it is kind of played as like off as a joke at points, but you see him buying in more and more, and you're just like, oh man, he's like borderline, like not even borderline, but he's like hypnotized by this dude.
Full on fanatic. And even when Paul, played by Chalamet, is trying to play it down, it was like Jessica surviving the water of life. Yeah, Bene Gesserit can do that. They're trained to survive poison. It's like, I'm not your messiah, but let me fight for you. It was like, that's how you know he's the Lisan Al Gaib, because he won't say it. He's too humble.
Yeah. But
how you
but I
know.
love but I love that scene right there because it shows that if you want to believe in something, you will move around whatever you need to do in order to justify it. And I will say, pardon me, as someone who's, who's grown up in the, in the church, the amount of people that I've had try to convince me that Trump is a good Christian is insane to me. And it's been one of those conversations that I just go, like, at what point do I just, you just finally go, like, I've been conned. And that's the juxtaposition between Javier Bardem's character and then Shawnee, who's played by Zendaya, who I gotta say, man, that young woman, she just, I don't know how she does it, and I haven't. And I'm seeing challengers on
you are in for a fucking treat.
I'm double featuring Furiosa and challengers on Thursday. Someone I had one of my friends go, "You should review If," and I'm like, I'm not seeing that fucking movie.
Hey, dude, I was kind of in that same spot and kind of rolling my eyes at it, but then I did a stream on the Afternoon Tune, and Dusk, who is our most cynical critic, he liked If.
See, that almost
he
makes
liked
me,
it.
See, that actually makes me more concerned about watching it. I just like, because Brandon put it perfectly, and it's the exact same thought I had. I was like, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends exists. Like, I don't need to see this in a theater. Like, and John Krasinski, I'm sure he's a nice guy. I mean, the Some Good News bullshit still irritates me, but but I just, it's one of those movies saw.
The man lives in LA and basically has, the people's Queen of England and Emily Blunt as his wife. It was like, that shit gets expensive. You need to sell some shit.
I mean, I'm sure Jack Ryan paid decently well, at least. So, I mean,
Yes, but... and Josh is commenting. It's like a Hunter hating on John. It's like, because he's married to Emily Blunt, and I understand the impulse.
You know what's so fun? You know what's so funny about Emily Blunt is like, I have a review Fall Guy. I did a review Fall Guy. I haven't posted it yet, but
I still haven't seen it.
Oh, it's so great! It's such a my current favorite film of the year. I will be real. Dune Part 2 might overtake it on a rewatch because okay, so before we kind of get back more into the plot, I might have gone back and rewatched the last 45 minutes of this because Austin Butler. I have to talk about him.
I made so many jokes leading up to Dune Part 2 about how, because the entire like press run and Oscar tour for Austin Butler is like, did not drop the Elvis voice at all. It was like, you ain't nothing but a hound dog, Paul Atreides. It's like, don't worry about nothing, mama. This boy Deeb ain't nothing but a hound dog.
It's very similar. Like, it's very similar to how, I was when they cast Heath Ledger in Dark Knight. Like, I still remember making the joke. I was like, unless he's gonna blow Batman, I don't think he's gonna be good. And I had to eat a giant bowl of crow. Like, I heard that first laugh in the teaser trailer. I went, "Oh, I am sorry." Like, I can't put my foot in my mouth, but no.
Yeah, and from the second Austin Butler appears on screen, it was like all of that doubt is like, "Oh, you cooked."
The way he emerges from the shadows, it's very similar to the season 2 ending of Barry. The way that he goes into the shadows, like, and you're just like, holy shit, that shot. Like, there are so many moments of this film, especially with Butler's character, that really are like little mini horror elements to it.
Oh, yeah.
When he gets his blades and he just stabs like 5 people, he's like, oh yeah, it's like
kills like 5 different handmaidens.
Yeah, he's just like, oh yeah, the blade was sharp, and the guy's like. The guy's like, sorry, sir. Like, it's just like, oh my god.
But something that I think, because any other movie would have just portrayed him as this completely psychopathic, just amoral character, because like he still has a code to him. It's like he still is, you know, very influenced by honor, and like the happiest he is when he gets a worthy opponent, like in the gladiator fight scene. It's like, oh, that fighter isn't drugged.
Yes, I love the look he gives when he notices.
And like makes a point to like to shut down and remove his shield.
He's excited. Like, it's so funny how he's like borderline, like not even borderline. He's giddy. He's like, oh my god, finally a fucking challenge. Like, it's
the knife is like in his face, and like the guards are coming closer, and he's like, get back, get back, get the fuck back. He knows he's into it.
He's incredible in this. Yeah, like he's absolutely incredible in this. And there's this moment where there's a scene where him and Ryban, played by Dave Bautista, who I gotta say, man, I'm so proud of.
He got so bugged out in this movie.
Oh, I love it.
But it's like the anti-Batista role.
Yeah.
No, it's basically if you put his character from Glass Onion in this role.
There you go. That's perfect.
That is spot on. Well played. So I gotta say, man, I love Dave Bautista. Like, I'm just so, like, as a big wrestling fan, it's so crazy to see him go from what he was to
big wrestling fan, jiu-jitsu brown belt under one of my old coaches, Matt Arroyo.
Nice. Like the man has been even My Spy is good, which is like, it shouldn't be. My Spy just sucks so bad, and yet he's so charismatic and charming in it, and he's terrifying in this. Like this opening where he's like, rats, kill them all. I was like,
is he terrifying, or is he just like, you know, a angry spoiled child that's having a tantrum?
I think both can be true.
The smaller he's a big old wolf.
When he's yelling about them and he's like, kill them all, that scene legitimately, I was like, god damn. Like, I was like, oh shit.
He said calmly.
Yeah, no, and that was like my favorite joke that we had in the chat. You know, you're like, he said so calmly. I'm like, did he? I was like, I heard yelling through my house. I was like, I heard very loud yell. Like, he freaked out so badly. Even one of my cats like looked at the sound bar, like what the fuck was that? But you feel the desperation, to your point, like that spoiled aspect. You feel the desperation in that scene because he knows he's slipping, and he knows that if he doesn't finish this up, that he's going to get replaced, which he, of course, ends up happening. I have to shout her out too, because I feel like she's so great in everything, and I don't understand why she's not brought up enough. Like, Rebecca Ferguson is just she's special, man. Like, she's so, like, while I wasn't over the moon about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, her and Haley Atwell in Palm are probably my favorite things about it. Like, the women kill it in that movie. And she in particular, especially just like eye patch her, is just it's just a cool fucking look. Number one. But number two, to see the corruption she goes through in this movie, and at first you're kind of like, oh,
just influences.
I mean, little column B. Like, you there's this point early on where you're kind of like, oh, that's a little off, and then you realize, oh no, this isn't a little off at all. This is just like the path she's on.
Yeah, and that's something I love about both parts of Dune, because I saw when I saw Dune 2 in theaters the day before I watched Dune Part 1, and yesterday I had a chance to watch them both back to back, and I love how complex Jessica is as a character, because you know, she wasn't meant to give Duke Leto a son. She was meant to birth another woman, another female, and no, she did it out of love for Leto, who was played in the first movie by Oscar Isaac, and how much of the line between motherhood, of, you know, love for your children, and duty to the Bene Gesserit and their cause, how much of that is blurred into in between both movies, and how in the start of this one, basically, it's like Yep, I'm full on like unleash holy war upon the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Harrison Butker's least favorite character. But I love how dark her character ends up getting, and just as the wheels start turning, you're like, oh man, she's on this path where you go, you're like, oh, none of this is like good. Like this is all like.
And I love for it so long because so much of the movie, Paul is trying to fight that destiny of him. He's doing everything he can to not give into it. He's like, I've seen the Holy War in, freaking Gurney Halleck, played by Josh Brolin, is like, you know what my suggestion is? Airstrikes.
Nuke.
Bomb them. Bomb them. Keep bombing them. Bomb them again.
Like it's crazy how quick he is. Just like, oh no, fuck it, just like bomb, like literally bomb them until your arms get tired. It's like, Jesus.
And how terrified Paul is. It's like, it's like a holy war that spreads across the entire universe. Billions dead, all blood on my hands, on the name of my father. And it's like, wait, because you lose control? No, because I gain it.
And that is like, like it's a very much a cliche, but absolute power corrupts absolutely.
And that is very much what Frank Herbert was going for in the book, to the point where he basically had to write Dune Messiah in order to really nail the point home of Paul gaining this much power is not a good thing.
Paul is not a good guy, you guys.
No, this is not. Dune is not the story of Luke Skywalker saving the galaxy. It's a story of Luke Skywalker gaining all the power and then turning into the Emperor.
Yeah. I mean, even Lucas said, wasn't Luke gonna be evil like at one point?
Yeah, that was an early idea for Return of the Jedi. That was like an early pitch of it.
Which and honestly, that's kind of part of where like Star Wars lore. Like, I know, Brandon, we kind of geek out on wars every so often, but that's where like the Knights of the Old Republic stuff in particular is so interesting, dealing with like not dealing with the absolutes, like understanding that there are shades of gray between Sith and Jedi. That's one of the reasons why that game still works so well, because you're able to, be in that middle ground if you want to be. I want to throw it to you, Brandon, because I know how much you dug this. What stood out to you as far as like improvements from the first one for this one?
Well, I'm unlike you guys and most people in that I didn't see the first Dune when it came out 3 years ago. So I watched first Dune like the day before I went to go see part 2. And so like,
shit. Okay.
To me, this is like almost like one movie. They're like one movie.
That's fair.
But no, like I was like watching a video earlier, just like dissecting like how Villeneuve directs and like the changes from 1 and 2, and like you could tell just like this dude, like if he didn't do part 1, like I don't think this would have been as like hailed as a franchise that we are all like loving now. People didn't know who Paul Atreides was like years ago, like who are now creating thirst traps and
I mean, it's Chalamet, so they were going to make thirst traps regardless.
But no, I love how you mentioned earlier, like particularly the characters, like Chalamet as Paul seems so much more lived in. Like of course, Chalamet had a lot more time to be with this character between 1 and 2, and I love how like filled in he is. Like he is a leading man. He is also very scary when we get towards the end of this movie. Very believably so. And just like all the character work, like all the promises of part 1, I think are kept in part 2. Like I remember people complaining, not a lot of Zendaya in part 1, but she's like,
it was like even I joked in my review of part 1 that I did on the afternoon tune. It was like it's basically like a Spice by Chanel.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, and we're getting the preview for part 2, and I think like in like everything that because we hear, or at least I heard like part 1, it feels very much like a setup for what we see in part 2. In a lot of ways, it is, but character wise, I think they do the setup beautifully because I love that we get more of Zendaya as Chani in here. I love that we get more of Javier Bardem's character Stilgar in here. I think those characters are like the essential part of the movie for me, and like Javier Bardem and Zendaya were like big MVPs. Like I love their performances.
Absolutely.
And I think Villeneuve he's been one of my favorite directors for a while, like since
same
Prisoners and Blade Runner and all that stuff. Like so I think his vision is just it blows my mind every time.
I don't think he has not made a bad film for me yet. Like I look at Prisoners, love that. I look at Enemy, love that. Look at Sicario, love that. Look at Arrival, love that. Look at Blade Runner 2049, fucking adore Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, that's an all-timer. That's like I like 2049 more than I like Blade Runner.
Same. Actually, look at us. Yeah, I just
look at us.
And people were pissed when I said that originally. I was like, I was like, sorry, I stand by it.
Give it time.
I actually rewatched it maybe 6 months ago, and I was like, yep, still great, still holds up. Nick and Hunter, Ebony and Ivory. Also true, but the man just gets it. He gets what he's trying to do. He gets the sci-fi genre, and the thing that sucks about not even about this movie, but just in general, I think sci-fi is so hard to market to people. And I think it's hard to get people to go to the theater, go out and see it. Apparently, Furiosa, unfortunately, is not doing well, and that really breaks my heart. Especially after watching The Fall Guy, just another movie where I'm like, people, if you don't want just superhero films, you need to go see other shit. Like this is like not to be that old man yelling at the cloud, but if you want different shit.
Yeah, and we can get to that later, but going back to Dune Part 2, which it is, because Dune Part 1, it came out kind of at a weird time. It came out during the pandemic. It came out when Warner was doing day and date with HBO Max. So I felt like I kind of did myself a disservice when I watched it for the first time, because again, this was when I was living in Japan at the time. So my only option was to see it during streaming.
So I'm of two minds of it, in the sense of and I can say this since I am less than a week away from turning 37. I like subtitles. And and I like being able to see the words. And I think and for Dune especially, I remember like the sound, like not the dialogue being bad or anything, but but there's so much dialogue and there's so much lore that they're throwing at you that I actually like appreciate being able to read it and kind of go like, oh, okay, like so that's partially why for things that are a little more dense like this, I do prefer to see to watch at home. But I would say though, if they do a re-release of this, like in IMAX, I'm
day one. Give me my ticket,
because I'm sure they'll do like a like a Dune Messiah, like the first
it's already announced that that Denis Villeneuve is coming back for Dune Messiah.
Which I mean he should. I mean this did well. This box office wise.
This was the biggest winner of 2024 so far.
Let's see. It did 700.6 million. That's really good. That's really good. I mean, especially and let's be real, for a movie that's almost 3 hours, especially like that's a hell of an accomplishment. I hope Garfield makes way less than that, just because I'm already irritated that movie exists. But
you didn't even see it, so
I know.
You don't get to talk about Garfield. You didn't see it.
I can't. I can't deal with
You
Chris
did
Pratt
not
in
see
another
it.
acting role.
You
Like,
did not see it.
Chris Pratt's worn me down, man. I don't know what to tell you. I can't with him.
Exactly same. Every time I see him in something I like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, he makes like 3 more projects that are bullshit.
Just to make sure you don't like him. He was like, nah, let me make some more crap.
One of my favorite one of my favorite moments of humor from the movie is when Paul is trying to mansplain sand walking the shit like that.
Yeah.
I actually had to pause the movie. I was laughing so hard because I was like, oh, like because Zendaya shoots him this look like motherfucker. What you try? Like it's very Iron Fist season 1, and I was just like, oh, that's great. I was like, I appreciate so much that little moment is in here. I love that so much. The action, I want to get to that real quick.
Bruh.
Oh my god,
so goddamn good.
So the Dragonfly ships are some of my favorite ships. I love the way they look. Like they look so practical, but just like in that world, it looks so great. I think the armor from a costume standpoint actually looks better. I think it's a little more. I think it's a little better defined. In this film, I love when Paul's eyes go blue too. Like when that happens, that actually feels like the fact that someone's eyes changing color feels like a moment is just a testament to the writing. I'm like, that's so fucking cool. Like I love that bit. And I love the way that we were talking about it, how Javier Bardem's character buys in to Paul, but how Zendaya is like very much like conflicted on it. And
it was like she loves the man, she doesn't love the myth.
Yes, that's a really good way to put it. And the thing is, like, Paul looks her dead in the eyes and goes, you know, I will love you no matter where I go. And where the movie ends, I was like,
it's like wow, two seconds later.
Yeah, I'm like, you asshole. Like,
but that's a scene that was in the book, and there was like a moment that between Jessica and Chani that was cut from this. It was like, think about what your position is. Like the marriage to Rulin, even though, you know, Florence Pugh, damn. It's like it's a loveless marriage. It's purely out of politics. It's purely just to keep the other great houses in line.
Just like the Clintons, sorry, continue.
But Chani, it's like she's kind of in the book, it's the same place that Jessica was. It was like the actual like paramour and love to Paul, the same way that Jessica was to Leto.
Yeah. The other part, one other person I want to point out, there's this part where Paul is fighting in the shadows of night, and oh my god, that scene, like it's very much like Velociraptor's Jurassic Park scene, but the way it's shot is so fucking cool. I was like,
and return of one of our great cinematographers, Greg Fraser, who of course shot the first one, won an Oscar for that, but also shot the Batman.
Like when I saw that he was back, I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense why this looks so fantastic. It's oh my god, it's one of the best looking. So, and I know, like, actually, my Lucasfilm check hasn't cleared, but what are you gonna do? This is the film I wanted Rise of Skywalker to be. Like, as far as like the weight I felt, the characters I cared about, and like I said, you're talking to someone who gave Dune. I gave the first one like a B-, I think that sounds right. Thought it was good, but I definitely was like, this is set up. I hope they can go deeper in part 2. And honestly, every gripe I had, whether it's the pacing, this film is much better paced than the first film is for me. But you can't really make this film until you make the first one. So I get why the first film has to be what it is to get us here. But this is much better paced. The action sequences, there's not one bad action. There's not one bad action sequence in here. The action's handled.
Yeah, and the cherry on top is the final fight between Paul and Fade Ralpha. Which,
Yeah.
to whoever decided to just completely cut the score out during that fight,
so good.
get that man a promotion.
That was the first thing I wrote down here. I was like, no sound. Like, so you just hear the grunts and the blades. And it's it's so much better for that. We haven't talked about him yet. I do want to shout him out because I do think that he kind of gets because I think a lot of people think automatically to cowbell. Christopher Walken's amazing in this. He's only got a couple scenes, but the scenes he has are very important. They're very vital. And did you do anything with the Dune popcorn bucket? No, I maybe for the Messiah one. But
open your mind.
Here, drink this. Right. But there's this point where he is the emperor tells Paul, he's like, you're gonna kneel at my feet, and without missing a fucking beat, he goes, motherfucker, basically, you're gonna be lucky if you have a head by the time this is all said and done. And when Chalamet delivered that line, I went, yes. I was like, that is what I've been looking for. I've been looking for that level of like vitriol from Chalamet, and yes, I was like, that is okay, leading man shit right there. And
for me, it's the moment after the fight, like after all that, where like the emperor like I told him earlier, like kiss the ring or something. He's like, Paul doesn't even say anything to the emperor. He just holds his hand out, and then like he stomps. There's like a beat, and then he stomps, and then like the emperor like just kneels down. I'm like, oh.
He's ready to like kill him, but then Florence Pugh is like, spare my father and I'll be your willing bride. The life debt's already paid.
I love it. I love that.
I love that scene. Like, and the fact he makes him get down and kiss the ring, and he's just like, God damn it. Florence Pugh and the aforementioned emperor, they have this incredible conversation about religion. And I'll be real, like that sequence in particular is what made me laugh, because I was just like, so many people are going to miss this point and are not going to get the very clear message that the movie almost stops, turns and looks at you and goes, you get it. You get what we're talking about, rest from religion, right? You get this, what we're talking about, right? You get this very clear metaphor that we are laying out in front of you. And it's haunting the way they talk about it, because they're 1,000% correct. Like when she talks about the fact that, you're underestimating.
Muad'Dib is a religious figure. Killing him is the worst thing you could do.
Yeah, because you make someone a martyr like that. But the fact that she has the insight to to think about that and point that out. Florence, like in Pugh, like I said, she's in maybe 6 scenes, maybe 7 scenes, maybe.
Yeah.
She doesn't get a ton of screen time, but man, you want to talk about maximizing your minutes. Like this is how you do it. And I'll be real, man, this is kind of what like irked me about Oppenheimer. I was just like, man, I feel like she's in this less than she's in Oppenheimer. I think she makes a better impact in this movie, and she does in Oppenheimer. She's also covered up in this, and I was like, man, I saw her boobs in Oppenheimer, and I was like, man, she actually might be hotter in this, because the director isn't afraid of like sex and isn't shoot it like like it's his first time. Just come on, Nolan, next time. But getting the final thoughts here, for myself at least, I don't really have a complaint about this. Like, I've been thinking about it for like the last hour or so. Like, do I have anything I could really like bitch about? And I'm like, not really. Like, is it long? Sure, it's like 2:45, but
it's long. But we talk about this a lot, especially as as movies have gotten longer on the afternoon tune. Is like, it's like economy of what your movie's length is. Like, at any point am I checking my watch? At any point do I feel like my time is being wasted? Does every frame, does every second count? And in Dune Part 2, yeah, every frame counts.
Yeah, I felt this is one of those things that I watched and I went, man, I love doing this. And I actually love talking about films like this because hopefully it encourages people to go, you know what? I have HBO Max. I'm gonna, I'm gonna sit down and check it out. And I was talking to my partner before she left for work this morning, and I was saying, it's 2 hours 45, and she was like, oh my god, it's 2:45. And I was like, here's the thing: if it's 2:45 and I don't feel the length, giggity, then it's fine. Like if I'm enjoying myself, who gives a shit? And I will say I don't know if I could watch like Dune and Dune Part 2 back to back. I'd probably need to get lunch somewhere in there to break it up. And I will say I got through the first hour before I just felt my eyes through no fault of the film, just through my cats, and I was like, I need to take a nap. So after I took my nap and came back after hour one, I definitely felt revitalized. I think after that first hour, it just takes off even more. So I would say if you feel like you need to stop, I'd probably stop at the hour mark, grab yourself some fun, some food or something, and then come back to it. Because from the hour mark on, it really is just nonstop as far as how it builds. Also, I will say Paul riding the sandworm, I know.
I was so happy because there were showings when I first saw it in theaters of like just regular theaters, but I went to see it in Dolby, which is like the better sound system with the comfy ass recliners. It was like money well spent.
Yeah, hell yeah. When I watched this, I set up with Samuel Katzen. He was in my lap. I put up the Sonos sound bar, put up the subwoofer. I will say this score of a subwoofer, god damn, like whoo, that shit hits hard. Like, and I was playing this at 8 a.m. and it was just like, wow, I was like, oh my god,
just 8 in the morning, just hearing, yeah,
and so like I have a Sony TV and like the TV volume's like it's good, but sound bars are obviously better. But I have like the main sound bar and I have the subwoofer on the side, and that sound just hit me like a wonderful tidal wave. I like it was wonderful, honestly. And I'm blanking on the speech, but there's a point where Paul's talking to his mom about the prophecy.
I think I know what you're talking about. It's right before she leaves, right?
Yeah, and the way he snaps on her, that was the first moment I was like, oh, fuck, Chalamet. I was like, oh, this might be it. I'm like, this might be the role, baby. like, come on, man. Stay in
talking about the prophecy, and she's like, is giving them hope. It's like, that's not hope.
And it's so good. I actually paused the movie because I was like, whoa, where'd that come from? And it's such a cool moment because, again, like, I really like Timothée Chalamet. Like whether it's Lady Bird or Little Women, I haven't seen Wonka yet. Even Bones and All, I think that script fails him more than anything. I don't think it's his performance that's bad. But I'm just like I've been kind of waiting. I've been waiting to see like can he take that step that I've been hearing that he's already taken, and I just haven't personally seen yet. And this was it for me. I was sitting here like I'm between an A+ and a fan-fucking-tastic, and to be honest, like I feel like I'm being a nitpicky douche if I don't give a fan-fucking-tastic. so kind of just on principle, I'm gonna give a fan-fucking-tastic. But this is something that when it ended, and I actually let the credits play because I love the score. This is Zimmer. This is Zimmer, right?
Yeah. This is Zimmer. I think this is much better than Part 1 score too.
I was about to say too. I actually like the score better for Part 2 than I do Part 1. But this was a joy to watch, and it's one of those like I've been watching a lot of and it kind of works out like this, just kind of how my movie watching habits are. Like I've seen a lot of shit this year, like looking at you Unfrosted, but I've seen just a lot of like derp shit that's made me go like, oh god,
it's like Yeah, there's been a lot of shit that I've seen this year, and the shit that I've seen this year has like made me question how much I want to, continue on being a critic.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But
Yeah. I'll tell you, like Nick was, I think Nick was working, but I reviewed Unfrosted on Afternoon Tune, and man, like I think my first couple words were Jerry Seinfeld can suck my dick. I think that's what I said. That movie.
I was saying that after I saw his last Netflix special. It was like,
That's
okay, go fuck yourself, guy.
That's completely fair. But between that and Maya Culpa, that Tyler Perry Maya Culpa film, and that new Mega Mind movie, like there's been some bullshit this year already, and to see something like this, it's like, oh yeah, Hollywood on occasion actually fucking cares, and it's like, oh, that's right, there is good shit out there. So, and I cannot stress this enough. Watch this at home. Get your turn the lights down. I'm probably gonna rewatch this again, probably on Saturday. Just 5 a.m. Turn the lights down, blast the shit loud. But this is, if it's not my favorite film, it's my second favorite film of the year. I'm so happy this exists, and I'm so happy for fans of these books and of this fandom that they're getting this shine and they get to check this out. This is a fan fucking tastic for me. I adore this movie, and to everyone involved, a tip of the cap to you. Real quick before I throw it to you, Brandon, just because I know you know this. There is a cameo by Anya Taylor-Joy, sup girl, by the way. So what's her significance? She's
Paul's sister.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, she is the baby that Jessica is pregnant with. It's Leto's last child.
Okay, I was right. I just wanted to make sure on that. By the way, the baby stuff in here is actually
it's like what they tried to do in Blonde.
Yeah,
actually, not gross.
Yeah, and actually felt like it had some weight and consequence to it.
Besides, I hate women.
Yeah, Frank Miller presents Blonde. But I love this movie, and like I said, I don't know if it's gonna make my top 10 because, like I said, there's a lot of shit still coming out. But everyone following this has a hell of a act to follow, and this is peak sci-fi. Thank goodness stuff like this exists. So yeah, this is a fan fucking tastic for me across the board. Nick, I'll throw it to you and your final thoughts, sir.
Oof, yeah. When I talked about this movie on the Afternoon Tune, I was so taken back by how it was just a movie that felt like Hollywood was back. That this was the days when we got Terminator 2 or seeing Avengers in the theater for the first time, when Hollywood gets it, when everything's firing on all cylinders. Because, frankly, the last couple of years, a lot of the blockbusters have kind of fallen short. Yeah. And this is what happens when you get an auteur like Denis Villeneuve and you give him this kind of budget. You give him this much carte blanche to tell a story that he is very deeply passionate about. And Hunter, you're not saying that this is making your top 10. This is, as of right now, Dune Part 2 is my favorite movie of 2024. And fair. I gave it this is cinema on the Afternoon Tune scale. And like you said, this movie is fan-fucking-tastic. Everything from the costuming to the sound design, production, the effects, the action, the writing, the character dynamics, the dialogue. It's chef's kiss perfect. I wish I could wipe my memory of this movie and watch it again for the first time.
Agreed.
Fair. Brandon, sir, your final thoughts and grades, sir.
I saw this movie 3 times in the theaters.
Damn. Okay.
I've not done that in I don't know how long. I don't know if I've ever done that before with a movie. This movie had its grip on me. It still has its grip on me. I love this movie. Like Nick, this is my number one movie of the year. Challengers is a close second. Both of them have Zendaya. Coincidence? But no, this movie is just amazing. I think this might be the best Denny movie. My favorite, to say the least. Because like just like how you were saying, like the pacing is amazing. Like my dad, when he was watching it for the first time, I like stopped in I did the dad thing. I stopped in my tracks just to like stand and watch it. And like for like maybe 20-30 minutes because every scene just like leads into just another amazing scene. Like I think like I can't think of this part where I would want to get up and leave the theater because even when I was in the theater, somebody left and I was like, "Why are you leaving? He's about to ride the sandworm."
Dude. When I saw it in theater, it was like towards the third act, and I really had to pee. I was like, you know what? This movie's so good, I'll piss my pants.
Exactly. That was me.
I gotta be careful about
it. I apologize, AMC custodians, but for the fluids I left in your theater. But no, this movie is just amazing. It's the best movie of 2024 so far. Like I think it's like other movies this year are going to have a hard time like beating it for me. Like I don't know. Like I'm excited for a lot of stuff coming this year as well, but I don't know what's gonna beat this for me. Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Javier Bardem, they're my MVPs for the movie. Every scene with them is like amazing. They carry this movie for me. Timothy Chalamet is in a whole nother level.
Yeah, he is.
Need more of him. It's like Wonka was the first movie I saw where he was a leading man in theaters, and I thought, this kid's pretty good. I liked that movie, but this was like, okay, I am front row, whatever your next project is.
Whatever you're doing, I'm there. And I like Wonka too, and so it was weird. I watched these kind of close together, so I was like, oh, okay. But no, I agree. This is fan-fucking-tastic. This is cinema. Watch this loud. Watch this big. Watch this alone. Watch this with a group. Just it's great sci-fi, and I find it so amazing that like something like this that could be considered niche maybe 10 years ago, is now just like one of the biggest movies ever. So it's pretty awesome.
Hell yeah. And I'll just say real quick to the niche aspect. If you're one of those people who's just like not into this or haven't checked out Dune, like I would encourage y'all, like just expand your horizons a little bit. Like give this shit a chance. They're doing this a prequel series which is set like 10,000 years I think before.
It's exploring the origins of the Bene Gesserit, which I feel like so much of the charm of Dune is kind of this like sense of futility of fate, and how much of it is just everything in this in both movies and in Frank Herbert's books is just events that were set thousands of years in the past, and how much as hard as you try to fight it, you can't. And the lie of it, in that the whole promise of Lisan al-Gaib is a lie planted by the Bene Gesserit. And I feel like exploring that would cheapen it in a sense. It's like, why have a prequel series about this? And there's cases of Max, which is the same company, doing prequels and having it be very well received, like House of the Dragon, which was one of my favorite shows of the year it came out. But I don't know if you have that same kind of material with Dune.
It does kind of worry me, especially with like Denny not being behind. Like his vision is so clear in these first two movies that like I'm gonna be cautious about like whoever's doing the series.
That right there is my biggest concern.
And I don't know. Even with House of the Dragon, which is like the only real thing I can compare it to, like Miguel Sapochnik, he's directed a lot of episodes of Thrones. He directed some of my favorite episodes of Thrones, and he was the showrunner on season 1 of that show.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll give it a watch just because, like, I'm invested in the sand at this point.
Yeah.
you know, you know?
Spice
Yeah,
melange.
yeah. I'm invested in the spice. So, so I'll give it a shot. But, yeah, Dune Messiah. I'm there day one. I'll be seeing it at the IMAX theater. I didn't
I can't.
smoke
I can't.
before I watched
I
this,
can't.
and I'm
I can't
actually
Yeah, I can't wait for the eventual think pieces on Dune Messiah's like character assassination.
Oh
Fucking,
my god.
oh,
this movie hates men.
oh yeah, and you know it's coming too. But I will say myself, like I look forward to actually going back and rewatching this and having an edible because
Yeah.
since I know because I'll be real, the first time I think if I was high and I watched this, I would have been like, okay, a little intense. Now I can actually kind of like
You might have
be in
been
the world.
overwhelmed a little bit.
Yeah, but
It's like you dipped your toe. Now you're ready to dive in.
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, really enjoyed this though. So yeah, fan fucking tastic across the boards for Dune Part 2. I'm stoked for Dune Messiah. When is did they say when Dune Messiah
They
is?
announced
when
that
it's
a Dune
done.
Messiah was coming out, but Denny has a couple projects in front of it, so it'll come out when it comes out.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's fine. Take your time.
Cook.
Yeah, exactly. Take your time. Take your time.
We saw what we got when he let him cook last time. Just let him cook.
Yeah. So that's Dune Part 2. So moving on to our last film, our last review for the day. Oh yeah, by the way, before I get I'm just gonna let Nick sing the song. That's okay. So real quick, I am gonna have a review for AEW Double or Nothing tomorrow since I will be bored and I have nothing to do. So I'll have a review for that tomorrow at some point. Happy 5-year anniversary to AEW, my favorite wrestling promotion. Shout out to Tony Khan and all the men and women over there who
Hunter, you're a fan of the promotion. You told me that they're based in Jacksonville, which is
They
where
are.
I'm living now. So if there's an event you want to go to, hit me up.
Once I am employed and no longer eating government cheese, I will take you up on that. Because actually that would be that would be fun. But I'm excited for Double or Nothing. That's happening in a couple hours. I got some friends coming over. We're gonna have some beers and pizza. I'm excited. It's gonna be a fun time. But getting to our final review, X-Men 97, which is a review. I never thought we'd get more X-Men in an animated form, which is just wild. So I rewatched the animated series, the original animated series for my partner. We started during lockdown, and then, all these shows came out and, stuff gets pushed by the side. It happens. So we finished it up like 3 weeks ago. Love the original animated series. And what I love about this continuation is that it picks up immediately after graduation day, which is the finale of the original series. Like it picks up literally like 5 minutes afterwards, and just dives right on in. And one thing that's always irritated me, and I'm going to do a whole essay about this. The X-Men films are mostly not good, and I know people. and I know. Give me a second. And when I say that, I mean the team up. I mean the team up films. I think Days of Future Past is a good film. I think it's a good film, but it erases. It pulls a Rise of Skywalker to First Class, and that just irritates the ever living fuck out of me because I think First Class for me. Outside of what they did with Darwin, fuck you for that.
First Class is a perfect X-Men movie until what happens to Darwin.
Yes. Taking that out of it, I still think it's the best one, even with that incredibly moronic decision, which still just
it's like this character's whole power is that he can't die. He adapts to everything, and the studio exec is like, but black.
But see, white Nazis are filled with such hatred that even Darwin can adapt to it. So fuck you, Darwin. So there's and yet that still irritates me less than Elliot Page's Kitty Pryde being able to send Wolverine back through time, which is never explained, and it bothers the ever living fuck out of me because the movie just goes.
Yeah, if you're gonna watch a version of it, I'd say watch the Rogue cut.
Yeah. That is better. But so many people forget that exists. Like so many people forget that the Rogue cut's even a thing. And while I have been made uncomfortably numb to different cuts because of a certain director that will not be named, the Rogue cut is better, but also, and this is my gripe, and this is something that 97 just nails. I'm sick of small ass Sentinels. I don't want 7 foot tall Sentinels. I want giant ass, imposing, Godzilla size.
You want Sentinels.
Yeah, no, I want actual fucking Sentinels, and I think
you want some Sentinels the size of Godzilla versus motherfucking Kong.
Yeah, because that's what they are. Like, I want those size Sentinels. I don't want these small ass Sentinels. Like, and I think what they do with Trask in Days of Future Past too, I think is pretty lame. Like, he really is there to be kind of a plot device, and that's kind of it. And Trask is such a fascinating villain, as is shown here, and it's like, well, you can do that with Trask, but you didn't do that with Trask. And I know reason why we didn't get like bigger Sentinels is because Brett Ratner like hates giant robots. Consent to
consent and anybody over the age of 18.
Also that, it bothers me that we still haven't gotten giant ass Sentinels in live action. So Marvel, if there's one thing you do that, please. So heading into 97, I was really curious what we're gonna get, and what we got is a series that leans more into the sci-fi elements of X-Men than they really probably. I mean, X-Men Evolution leans into them a good amount, but I would say even this might lean into the sci-fi like more than even Evolution does, which is pretty wild. We actually get Storm as a character, which like I think she is a character in the animated series, but they expand upon that to a very awesome degree here. And they put Wolverine in the background, which I'm gonna say is the best decision they could have fucking made.
It's the best decision. And to everybody who's like complaining about how sidelined Wolverine is, it's like, one, he gets one of the best action set pieces in this entire season, and two, he's had like 30 years in the spotlight. From you know, the original show, from the Fox movies, 3 spin-offs solo, just because of, you know, how great Hugh Jackman was in the role, and he's coming back again prominently in Deadpool and Wolverine. It's like Logan can step back a little bit.
Exactly.
And this may be a hot take, but I enjoy Wolverine more when he's like that, in like on the sidelines or like a part of a team. I'm never such a big fan of like Wolverine focused stuff.
Yeah, it's like my favorite run of the Avengers was like the New Avengers, where it was Iron Man, Cap, Spider-Man, and Wolverine.
And Spider-Man just knows how to annoy Wolverine in a way that just always makes me laugh. Like he's kind of one of his favorite like targets. Wolverine's like, God damn, I hate this kid. But as far as this plot, man, to say there's twists and turns, and this doesn't even begin to. So full spoilers. So let's just get that out of the way now. So I'm gonna get into what I loved. Storm is addressed as an Omega level threat, which she should have been from jump, by the way, because
basically a goddess.
Yeah, like read up on Storm, like being like the queen of Asgard. If you don't believe that Storm is amazing and how she fucks up Loki. Storm has always been that level of awesome character.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was not done nearly as long in the comics as I would have liked it to been. Her marrying T'Challa is still one of my favorite things Marvel's ever done.
Mm-hmm.
It's still one of the hardest images Marvel's ever had. Like them standing side by side next to the throne in Wakanda is mwah, it's such cool shit. Also, you want to know that T'Challa is that motherfucker. They got married during Civil War.
Yeah,
and he tells Iron Man and Cap, he says, none of your bullshit, like, you white people are not going to fuck the world. like, this is Wakanda, we will kill you. Like,
basically just canonizing that T'Challa has god-level riz.
Yeah, just, so good. That's number one. Two, the way that Rogue is handled here is amazing. And that's a character that I can't wait
it's a character that is tragically underutilized because in the Fox run, because canonically she absorbed Carol Danvers' powers, and Fox didn't have the rights to that character, so they were kind of like caught between a rock and a hard place as far as adapting her.
And a Rogue's Tale,
but fucked it and just let her fly and have super strength.
Yeah, but honestly, a Rogue's Tale, that is one of the best episodes of the original run, because you just see how that's tortured her, and why she wears the glove and everything. I can see Nick is Morph. Hunter is Beast. Wow, you sound like some of the white parents that and then Brandon and I've only had one drink, and then Brandon is Nightcrawler. I could actually see that. I could definitely see Brandon as Nightcrawler.
And speaking of characters in the 92 series and that were tragically underutilized, this is like the Nightcrawler coming out party. Some of the best moments in the series, and not just the action, but all of what I think people are so gravitating towards with the writing, with the character work, with the just absolutely beautiful dialogue that every time I hear it, I'm like kind of tearing up. Most of it is going to Nightcrawler.
Yeah. So what I love about Nightcrawler, and I again am gonna attack it from the religious perspective. There's that one episode where he's talking to Wolverine about his faith, and Wolverine, has been through a lot of shit, so he, understandably so, is kind of like, fuck everyone, fuck religion.
He's like a nihilist, basically.
That's a perfect way to put it. But the conversations that him and Wolverine end up having, you see Wolverine at the end, like in the church praying. It's not some big hammer like, oh my god, Wolverine's a Christian now, but it is like Nightcrawler has something to believe in, and the fact of the matter is, you never see him judging Morph for being non-binary. He's not telling him he's gonna go to hell or anything like that.
He's actually living by the words of Jesus Christ.
Exactly. And that right there, that is the blanket statement right there for Nightcrawler. He is just a loving person who is there to help. And at the end of the day, that's how it should be. And by the way, that includes just doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. You don't need to attach your church or your religion to it. It's just about being a good person. And he gets that, and the writers get that. And it's so fucking refreshing to see, because Nightcrawler has always been one of those characters for me that's always been handled better in the comics, and he's a great character in the comics too. But
he's a character that, just the X-Men in general, I feel like they've been very hard to adapt. Outside of the X-Men 92 series and of course X-Men Evolution. But I feel like so many people miss the point of the X-Men is that this is a story about reaction of marginalized groups, about found family and how beautiful that can be.
I agree, because oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I think that's a big thing. Like, you were talking about the sci-fi element earlier, but to Nick's point as well, like, I think that's a thing the live action Fox movies like didn't hit the mark on as well. Like, you don't get as much of that emotion, that found family drama, or like that that back and forth, these relationships, like you don't get that rich relationships that we see developed in the comics as well as like these animated series where like each character is like heavily focused on and we get how they feel about one another. And this in the shows, I mean in the movies, it's a lot more of the Wolverine show and whatever the hell Professor and Magneto has going on. But I think like this show nails the feeling of the comics, like tea of just like this is a family. They're messy. They have drama. They also go to space sometimes.
Yeah, and that's another. Yeah,
and even the messiness of it is like a huge plot point is because they introduce Madeline Pryor, which is the clone of Jean Grey, who is the mother of Nathan Summers.
Yes.
They address how messy it is because it's like in episode 5, Scott is like in the astral plane with Madeline, and Jean is like kicking in the door. It's like,
it's like one of the.
It's like I made a joke in my review on the Afternoon Tune. It's like X-Men, when done right, is basically Days of Our Futures Past.
Yeah. That's a very good way to put it. Like, because it's messy as hell. And speaking of messy, even Alea pointed this out. She was like, Xavier and Magneto are those like two is like that gay couple that hooked up once and they're like we can't let this happen again, and so
it's like Brandon, you'll get this, Hunter, you will when you watch Challengers, but it's basically Challengers.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, guys, just be gay. You'll fix a lot of problems.
Just fuck already.
So here's the thing I will say is this is my BoJack versus my Todd personalities, because I have those days where I'm just like, I hate everyone. I wish all of you would just shut the fuck up,
dude. Let me reiterate. You're talking to a dude who works in IT and is active duty in the United States.
Fair. So, but I had that. Because the thing is, and it's so frustrating, and to take it to a racial perspective, there is that part of
which racial perspective you can't talk about without talking about the X-Men, because if you didn't get it in the 60s, if you didn't get it in the Fox movies, if you didn't get it in the 90s show, the X-Men are an allegory for racism.
Yeah, and man. Yeah, because that Malcolm MLK Jr. metaphor is prime in this show, because Xavier, he's still holding on to that hope that mutants and that humans and mutants can coexist.
And Magneto, he's like the most fascinating character arc, because he is trying
so hard.
That path. He is trying to walk that path, and he drops the hardest line of all time. It's like, I love and respect Xavier so much. I am trying to walk his path. Do not make me let you down.
And when he says it, you're just like, oh man. And the thing is, it's very much, while I'm not crazy about the film at all, I think it's quite awful, but it's very similar in X-Men Apocalypse, where he's just like, he's working in a factory, he has his family, he's off grid, like he's doing every fucking thing he can.
And he gets punished for doing the right thing.
Exactly. And that's the tragedy. I mean, we've talked about in the chat, and this is this argument I have with Canada. Shout out to Bradley constantly of Hunter, you're Captain America and you can fly. Oh no, the Fox News building is on fire and Tucker Carlson needs help. It's like, ooh shit, do I go home and eat that lasagna, or do I do the right thing and save his ass? And it's like
shit. It's like, oh, the Fox News building is on fire. It's like, Modern Adventures of Superman season 2 just came out.
Which I'm so excited to start, by the way. But it's so frustrating, because you're right, Magneto is trying so hard to do the right thing.
He's trying to be the bigger man, which anybody marginalized, to anybody in like any kind of minority group, it's so relatable because you want so hard to just, be the bigger person, turn the other cheek, but there's only so much you can take.
And that's the thing, right? And you hit the nail on the head. There's only like as someone who has a lot of friends who identify as members of the LGBTQ community, I still remember after the Orlando nightclub shooting, and it's just like, what do you tell people when people are actively being targeted? What do you tell?
Yeah, which Bodemaios, who was the writer and showrunner of this first season, cited as a direct influence on episode 5
really?
Of this season.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's wild.
He's gay as well, and I think he.
I didn't know that.
He used to live in Florida and even like frequented the club. So like,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember Me is like basically directly inspired by the events of the Pulse nightclub series.
That puts a lot.
And how
that puts me more in perspective.
It is.
Yeah, because I mean, I think I think back to. I mean, it was just yesterday that George, the anniversary of George Floyd dying, and I look, y'all. I mean, I've talked about it on the pod before, so I'm not saying anything that's out of pocket or not on brand. But I had a lot of people I had to unfriend and block after hearing that they were voting for Trump, or I had several people pull the whole "All Lives Matter" with me shit when you had all these people of color getting killed, whether it's Breonna Taylor, whether it's George Floyd. It's like you can only tell people for so long that we're going to treat you like shit and have people be okay with it until you start revolting, and what happens in Genosha, I actually had to pause and go cry for like 15 minutes because you see the parallels. Honestly, you see the parallel. You could draw multiple parallels. I mean, you could draw the George Floyd parallel. You could draw the nightclub shooting parallel. You could draw the Palestine parallel. Like, there's so it's really quite haunting how much shit it could apply to. And then when you think about how much shit it can apply to, it actually makes you doubly sad because you're like, this shouldn't be so relatable.
And the saddest moment in it is when Magneto is like trying to shield the Morlocks and is looking into Leech's eyes. And he reverts back to his native language. It's like, don't be afraid, child.
Got chills.
Seriously, man. Like,
and when he eventually comes back, because this is comic books.
I
mean, nobody stays dead. And he's like talking to Xavier. Is like, you didn't look into his eyes as he was vaporized into his skull.
Yeah, and it actually took me back to, I think, what's my favorite scene in Days of Future Past when Magneto takes over control of the plane and just basically reads Charles'
receipts, all the receipts.
Yeah, he's like, motherfucker, you being depressed and sad over a girl that, let's be real, you really did kind of push away anyway. Like, all your first class students are fucking gone because of your selfishness. And he's reading him the receipts as the plane's going down. And he's just like, hey man, could you like pull his plane up so we don't like crash in the water?
For as flawed as the Fox X-Men movies are, and there have been way more bad ones than good.
Yeah.
They always nail the Charles and Magneto guy.
They do.
Oh, for sure.
They always nail it. Regardless of which actor is playing those two roles.
Yeah, but that scene when he's talking to Charles is just like, dude, like, Magneto's not wrong, but the problem is
and that's where 97 has so much cred, because because what's beautiful about X-Men 97 is that it is a more grown-up version of those Saturday morning cartoons. It is a version of that show that grew up with its audience, because even I was saying, it was like those first 4 episodes of X-Men 97, it was like, okay, yeah, this is cool, this is fun. It's like the animation's great, the character stuff is good, but those first 4 episodes were kind of in that same tone of just a Saturday morning cartoon. And then episode 5 happens.
Yeah. Kicking the ball sack. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the thing I would say about the first 4 episodes is you feel it ramping up, though. And you feel the social messaging being more prominent as those episodes go on, and you're kind of like, okay.
But even if you feel that, the tone of those episodes, it isn't that far removed from the 92 show.
I'll give you that.
It doesn't get as grim, like you're saying, until 5, but there are moments, like we mentioned, Magneto's speech at the UN, or even
that speech
to the news reporter.
Even Madeline Pryor's goodbye to baby Cable.
Yeah.
They're
like sprinkling in these moments, like, oh, things are getting darker, things are getting a little bit more serious, and then 5 damn break.
It's weirdly kind of paced like season 2 of Atlanta, where like the first couple episodes you feel like you're like, okay, you're clearly referring to this, and there is like, but then you get hit with that Teddy Perkins episode, and you're like, oh fuck, okay, and then that like the Robin season tagline really kicks in. You're like, oh, this is where you're heading, and we mentioned the Genosha thing and everything, but when Magneto's at the UN and Storm loses her powers, as someone who has been a Storm fan, like to date myself here, and I'm truly dating myself. The first comic I ever read was X-Men, but the first actual complete run I read is when Pizza Hut was doing a special promotion. Anytime you bought a pizza, you got a free X-Men comic, and so you had to collect all 6. So for like 7 weeks, we had Pizza Hut. And my dad's like, dude, really? I'm like, no, I need to fish out these comics. Like, I think I still actually have them in the garage. I think I have them too, actually still saved. But I like when Storm loses her powers. It's such a fuck you, dude. Like, it's such one of those moments where you're like,
and it's portrayed so sad, and again, a great thing is the voice performance.
God.
And earlier in the episode, she was like commiserating to Jean, or who we now know as Madeline Pryor. Is like, sometimes I wonder what it would be like to be human.
Yeah.
To not have these powers, and that heartbreaking line of the breeze. I can't feel it.
Yeah. And I remember just going like, wow, so fuck you, dude. Like, I was so angry. And Magneto flat said, he's like, what the fuck did I just tell y'all? Like,
I would literally there was a time I would have like burned all of you for what happened to Storm.
Yeah. And it's one of those moments where you just go like and this is where the juxtaposition is so hard and fascinating, because if you go full Magneto, you become Frank Castle. If you go full Xavier, you're so passive shit doesn't get done. So it's like you need both perspectives, but you need to find a middle ground to get shit done. And
that is a beautiful thing about the show, especially with bringing Cyclops into so much promise. Which another crime of the Fox movies was that he was basically just the cuck.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Like come on.
When comic Cyclops is a brilliant combatant, a strategist on the level of Captain America.
Yes, he is. Yes. And people need to actually put his name right there with Cap. Yeah. The way he actually uses his powers here against these fascists, like, I think it's like episode 1. I want to say.
Yeah, episode 1.
Amazing.
It's like, wait, no, don't take my visor. Nah.
Yeah, it's such a oh man, just got chills when you brought that up. Like, it's such a cool the thing about Magneto too is like you feel the tension between him and Wolverine because they really don't like each other. Like, Wolverine is Wolverine's basically sitting in the background like, motherfucker, like, give me a reason. Like, just give me a reason to stab you. And it's like, that's one of the my favorite like petty bitch rivalries in comics because Wolverine just always hates Magneto and Magneto always hates Wolverine. And
he hates the way that he walks, the way that he talks, the way that he dresses.
Exactly. I hate your helmet, motherfucker. It's perfect. And when Magneto legit tears him apart, first
It was
up,
that was straight from the comics.
Yes,
And
literally the panel and the framing is straight out.
I did not expect this show to go that hard.
No.
It's like that's should happen, but I didn't. It's like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's so Josh is asking, was Magneto right? Yes and no.
Yes,
like that's why. Like that's why. No, he is not. That's absurd. He is not the Candace. Jesus Christ. Like,
that is a gross over exaggeration.
Yeah, because Xavier. Because the thing is, believing in peace and wanting peace is not a bad.
Yeah, it's like Xavier is Ted Lasso, basically. He
that's a really good way to put it.
He wants to believe in the best of people, and he will continue to believe that in spite of every wrong that is done to him and his kind.
Yes,
I agree, and I think we get that divergence when it comes to two of his OG students. Like I mentioned, Cyclops on the news when he's like, "I've saved you people, and you guys still try to kill me." And then like Beast later in the episode is like, maybe Professor X's mistake is us asking for you to accept us. Like when you get Beast inside, being like, maybe
actually right. Exploring the dynamic, especially with Beast, who was a day one Charles Xavier, and then his conversations with Trish Tilby in the show.
Which those conversations, like, well, that's what's so amazing. Like, I especially in the comics too. I love whenever Beast and Mystique's paths cross, because Mystique, as someone who can change, no, not the Clarence Thomas. Jesus Christ, Josh.
Jesus Christ, stop.
like, man, you were just stop watching Fox News, man. But like, it's like whenever their paths cross, because Mystique can change into whomever she wants to go and turn herself into. Yeah. But the thing is, that's not the fucking point. She shouldn't have to. Like, and that's what so many people they say that in the second film. Like, and I love that.
Yeah, the point that Jennifer Lawrence missed after.
It's like I shouldn't have to change who I am to make other people feel comfortable. Yeah. Remember that as we head into Pride Month, by the way. But that's one reason why Beast is such a tragic character, because like he's so well read. By the way, he makes several literary puns that just as a nerd, I was like, these are fucking wonderful, and I appreciate like that Beast gets these one-liners that feel very authentic to his character, but actually made me laugh out loud. I'm like, oh, these are all fucking gold. But you even see Beast just kind of get worn down by like, hey, these mutants have
the sheer scale of the tragedy of everything.
And there's
even calling out Trish Tilby, it was like, while my friends and my people were dying, you were outside our house interrogating us.
Yeah, and he's 1,000% right. I mean, I've talked about it before on the podcast. Like, if I had $1 for any time, like I got a side eye look from a white couple whenever like Alea and I were out, or the amount of times I've been followed by a cop. Like, I got followed by a cop when I was 14 walking to church for 5 blocks. Cop straight up followed me just to see where I was going. It's like shit like that sticks with you, and that becomes your trauma. And you think about how these mutants are just, literally trying to live, and they're in a space where they are away from everyone.
This is their place. This is their space. And that even going to the parallel of the Pulse nightclub shooting, which Bo DeMaio directly cites as an influence, it makes it more poignant.
Yeah, it's just it's so and you think about how the narrative is, but and I'll be real, man. Seeing the amount of people say it's very similar to the Star Trek people who go like,
Mhm.
"Oh, Star Trek's gone woke. They have a female captain." It's like,
Especially from William Shatner.
yeah, it's like, have y'all like? Do you remember the episode where people had the white side of their face painted white and then upside painted black and vice versa? Like that was back in the 60s.
It's like the people who listen to Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA, and think that's like ultra patriotic is like yay America, and then you listen to the lyrics, it's like no.
Yeah, it's like, oh wait, this is America is not talking about how guns are awesome. Like that's not, it's like no, like that's a very clear message. I will say too, as it gets into the Sentinel stuff, like the Sentinels are kind of like almost like the putties of like Power Rangers.
They're the putties of Power Rangers, and even in the first episode, just how kind of quickly and easily the X-Men dispatch of them, we kind of overlook how dangerous they are.
Yeah,
and when you get the Sentinels, like the Prime Sentinels, it's horrifying. And when you think about, like, I'll just say, just because it's prominent, like you say something like abortion rights, and like how quick, like it's, if you just kind of equate it to that, it's really scary how quickly the shit can spread and the misinformation can spread. And the way that people are being told that the Sentinels are a necessary right.
Even the way that Bastion talks about all the civilians that were brought into these experiments, it was like he these guys were very vocal, very had to turn to online chat rooms about freely.
Like it's very much like in the Batman when you see that the Riddler has all these followers that are just cultish, and you go like, oh, and it's like, okay, this makes a ton of sense in context.
Yeah, it's like and speaking to the show's main villain, Bastion, who is voiced by the my god, sexy voice Theo James.
The Vapors.
Yeah.
It was like he is such a fascinating character, especially when you get more into his backstory in the show. And he dropped some very solid dialogue about this.
Like,
yeah,
I was just gonna mention, like, towards the end, like where, I mean, we mentioned this at the beginning when we were talking about X-Men. They're all about, trying to, we're just trying to be accepted, accept us. You don't want to kill you. But then we get like Bastion literally at the end, like about to die, and then all the X-Men about to die, and he's like, you think they want more of us? They want more children of us? They literally trying to kill us.
Yeah, they'd rather destroy their planet than have more of us around.
Exactly. And it's like just one of those things where Bastion's another one that's just going to the extreme. Like, if they don't like us, good, but like he also doesn't even like himself. So it's just one of those
he's a self-hating mutant.
And honestly, that's where I think you just hit the nail on the head. Those are the people you need to look out for, because when you hate a marginalized group to that degree, there's clearly self-hatred. Like, that's why you always hear about these Republicans, like, oh man, they were fucking a guy in a broom closet.
Right, exactly.
And they're like, oh no, I hate gay people. It's like like you have something clearly internally that you need to.
Yeah, you gotta be all about family values. Meanwhile, they have every Craigslist hooker on speed dial.
or you're on Ashley Madison or some shit. But looking at someone like Rogue, in particular, her character broke my heart from the Gambit perspective, because Gambit loves her. Like, he clearly loves her, and like their back and forth in the original series is so much fun, because Gambit's kind of like Captain Kirk. Like, he will kind of fuck anything. Like, Gambit doesn't. I mean, he's from New Orleans. He doesn't give a shit. Like,
like everything and anything.
Yeah, like, the staffing just made for walk and share, but
No.
You're welcome. But oh yeah, by the way, quick live action bitch. How the fuck has Gambit only been in one X-Men film?
Yeah, man. Gambit
That's
used to be one of my
insane.
favorite too. Like, and I was so pissed. Imagine me, an X-Men fan, my favorite X-Men being Gambit and Iceman, and watching the movies and being so, so
Oh,
sad.
that's sad. And I will say too, like Gambit, I'm sure is gonna pop up in his like next run. I would cast an unknown actor. Honestly, I don't
That's
see
what I do for
anyone.
most of the young X-Men, honestly.
Yeah,
Like,
like I would just like I would go unknown because I think someone should be able to like grow into that character and make them their own. But I
make it,
love Gambit
yeah.
so much, and the way that Gambit even like the way he finds out about Magneto and Rogue, like that's such a like it's so depressing, and it's like she like but you get it to an extent from Rogue's perspective too, because like she can't touch him and she feels bad that she can't be touched and vice versa. But there's an actual explanation for why Magneto can, which I was like, okay, clever. I was like, all right, I actually appreciate that there's a reason. But also, Rogue, like you're being very like selfish and not smart in this instance, and you should, not do that. It's but real quick, as far as Rogue, like what other characters? Oh yeah, we didn't even mention Forge yet. Like,
oh hell yeah, Forge when he comes in with Storm's little like arc is like amazing. But no, like what you're saying with Rogue as well, like he's one of my favorite characters this season. And like I love how adult the show gets at points, like the conversation that Rogue and Gambit have before Genosha goes to hell, like where she's talking about why she chooses Magneto. Yeah. And of course, Gambit being the man he is like, I understand, Shia. I always love you.
Yeah, and he's so shockingly cool about it. But
he's adult about it.
But he also like you get why he's hurting, and you're just like, damn. You're like, I'm sorry, dude. Like I get it, man. I get why you're sad. And I will say to his, so it's hard being like a comic fan because like my brain instinct wants to go like, oh, if this happens, then this will probably happen. And I'm like, shut up. Like I try to like,
it's like, especially when it comes to stuff that gets adapted, it's like you want to see the stories that you grew up watching. You want to see them done one to one in animation.
Yeah, especially with this, they're not being shy with like how much has been influenced from comic story arcs and stuff like that. Like, so there are certain things where it's hard to be like, oh, I know it's coming, but I shouldn't think about it.
Yeah, because when Gambit initially died, I was like, oh, fuck you, and then like 3 minutes later, I was like, oh wait, and then
I remembered. Oh right, it's comic books.
It's a comic book.
Yeah, and then I remembered I was like, oh wait, but if this then you're gonna probably do okay, and then
at the very end.
But it's like I have to like try to numb that because I'm trying to stay in the moment.
It's like even and something that I think is great about comic books, even though it's like 80% of the time characters are coming back, is like, does the emotion of the scene, does the emotion of their death, do you still feel their loss in the story? And that is the mark of great comic books.
I agree. Yeah. Like, there could be as many deaths as there can, but like it only matters if like I care.
Like even they joke in the finale of the show is like, this isn't our first the X-Men are dead rodeo.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, like and I think that part is particularly well handled. If there is a complaint, and I was really like thinking like if there is one, I could have used more Bishop. I do think Bishop kind of gets a shaft here. I wasn't with that.
Yeah, especially with how prominent Cable is in the last couple episodes. I really wish we could have seen their dynamic together. With Bishop and Cable as two time travelers. But I think that's something that we get more in season 2. If I had one other complaint, I would say maybe episode 4, because it feels the one that it feels like the episode that's the most separated from the main storyline, because that's
the Jubilee.
That's the Jubilee episode, and not to say that it's a bad episode at all. No. It's like fun as hell. It's like cool to see her and Roberto's dynamic growing, but it feels the most separated from the main story.
I agree with you. I think that episode is very I think that episode is very intentionally there for the gut punch. That's episode 5.
And even I said it in the Afternoon Tunes review. It's like the first 4 episodes is like, yeah, this is cool. This is a Saturday morning cartoon on at its best. And those first 4 episodes are meant to lull you into that sense of security.
Yeah. Because it definitely feels kind of and I this is maybe a bit of an oversimplification, and I just hated that I quoted the Flash right there. At least you know you'll get more episodes of this. Take that.
Tell me to insult you, Grant Gustin. You are the perfect Flash.
Oh no, I'll talk about the other one. I like her.
Talk about the other one.
Yeah. What's the difference between me and Ezra? I can go to Hawaii, anyways. But I really like that Jubilee episode because it like they had almost made her not even almost made her. They'd made her like almost like a parody near the end of the animated series run, and so to actually see her powers like on display, it's like, oh wow, she's actually
see her powers on display, and in the finale, see her go toe to toe with Bastion.
Yeah,
you're like, okay.
That's why I don't really like. I still love like episode 4, but I feel like that the satisfaction of Jubilee hits harder with episode 4 since we see her.
I agree.
And it just made me hate X-Men Apocalypse even more.
Yeah, dude.
Because of how they wasteland a Condor.
Yeah, and she had the look too. Like it's like she looks like her, like, you know. But as far as final thoughts here, there are some. That is the other complaint I did have is that there is a cameo here by Steve Rogers that I love the cameo, and like when I saw the shield, I was like, like I was like that was about how high my voice went, too. But the speech, while he's right, given the context in which he's speaking the Rogue, I hated the way the message was delivered. And it was just like, dude, not the time. Like, it's so fascinating. This is another reason why I like Nightcrawler so much, is that Nightcrawler basically says the same thing that Cap does, but he's saying it from a more of a place from love and less from a soldier place.
But
so it does.
But I feel like that speaks directly to how both messages are received.
Okay.
Because, you know, Rogue is like in full-on rage mode at this point.
Yeah.
Like, fuck the world. I will burn the entire world to the ground in order to get justice for Remy. And Cap is like an obstacle in the way. And even I said this because this is a Cap who, you know, this was, you know, the 92 Cap. This was before Ed Brubaker's run on the character, when he was, you know, more willing to delve into that morally gray area. And this was the guy who was basically Frank Miller's version of Superman, who was like, you know, it was like, I got to believe in the people that are in charge of me. I'm a soldier. And I feel like if that scene between him and Rogue had gone on 2 minutes longer, she could have convinced him to come to her side. If not as Cap,
that's a fair point.
As Nomad.
I agree.
And honestly, you just hit the nail on the head for me. It's like I think if you have like, and I was talking to people about that because I had several people reach out to me.
But even then, it's like, you got to remember who show this is. This isn't the Captain America show. This isn't the Avengers. This is an X-Men show.
And I think that's like how it is in comics as well. Like if you're going to bring an Avengers into an X-Men level conflict, the Avengers are going to kind of seem like the almost bad guy or like the tri-tagonist.
They're gonna try to be. They're gonna come off more as the bootlickers.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's like, the way to put it.
Yeah, even when I joked about it, it was like MCU Steve Rogers is like, respect your pronouns. He was like, he understands LGBTQ. He's marching in the parade. X-Men 97, Steve Rogers, where were you on January 6th?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And I think given the timeline too that we are mid 90s, there are so many important runs that if you're going based on the timeline haven't happened yet.
Yeah,
so
and,
you do.
Yeah, and even setting it in the 90s, so many cultural touchstones. Because I remember when I watched The Last of Us, and they changed the setting of that show because that show's apocalypse takes place in 2003. It was like this whole like gay revolution, this whole more acceptance in pop culture that hadn't happened yet.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there's a lot of cultural, to your point. I think there are just things, especially in the Marvel canon, that haven't happened yet, that it's like you do have to keep that like Winter Soldier hasn't happened yet. It's like Nomad Cap is like less like there's several things. Iron Man hasn't gone through Armor War, like hasn't gone through Extremis and all that. Like,
though, it's this show's like been doing things where they've been pulling from comic arcs that that hadn't happened yet. Like the Genosha comic thing was like
but that's pulling from X-Men comics. That's not pulling so much from the greater Marvel canon.
Which is interesting, which makes me think like, how are they gonna like for further like shows, further seasons, like what are they gonna do? Like if they keep having these Marvel cameos, will they like have a bigger influence on the X-Men? Like will they have like we had crossover episodes in the 90s shows of Spider-Man and X-Men quite a few times. I wonder if they'll do that, or like implement their 90s Spider-Man, or like what will go on with that story wise.
Well, that's the thing that's kind of interesting about the cameos, is like you get that 90s Daredevil, like clearly the one who was in.
You get the 90s Daredevil, you get Cloak and Dagger, you get
that cameo. I marked the fuck out. I marked the fuck out for that Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger.
I was like, oh. I was like, yes.
You get Doctor Strange, who is the real hero because the man is still doing surgery during the apocalypse.
Right?
He's like
first responders. It's like, you're the real heroes.
I will say too. I love the Daredevil cameo. It apparently Marvel is, quote, considering, unquote, doing like a Spider-Man 90s continuation, which considering where that show ends up, they really should, to be quite frank.
They should, and I'm kind of happy that the season finale answers that question of does that Peter find his MJ?
Yeah,
they're reunited and they're together, witnessing the fall of Asteroid M. While that was cool to see, on a second watch I was like, motherfucker, the world is burning, get to work.
right, like you have some webs to spin, motherfucker.
I'm gonna just watch this TV.
Like if there was a moment for the if there was a moment for the go get 'em tiger, it's definitely that moment. Like you got shit to do.
But again, it's not a Spider-Man show; it's an X-Men show.
Exactly, and I will say too, for me, that having King T'Chaka, timeline wise, I think that matches up. But B,
you better hope that children read the Bible more than the history books more than the Bible, because only history can be conned into forgiving us.
Because because then unfortunately you have the T'Challa, like, who voices T'Challa? Is that disrespectful to Chad? Like you have to answer all those questions. So like I get why they went the T'Chaka route. Now personally for me, because when Black Panther does show up in like in animated form, it's usually pretty great. By the way, Iron Man Armored Adventures weirdly has an amazing Black Panther arc, like a shockingly great Black Panther arc. That's a show that like that's a show that might work as well. Like this might be a hot take, but Iron Man Armored Adventures making Tony Stark a teenager actually explains his behavior a lot better than him being an adult. Like,
I
because when
totally agree.
because when he's making these decisions, you're like, God, that's something that a teenage like
well,
and
I think it like speaks more to Tony Stark, especially in the MCU, is like he's basically a man child.
Yeah.
oh yeah, he absolutely is. But
Yeah, it's like
that's
yeah, he grew up a billionaire. You think anybody's telling him no?
that's a
No.
fair point. But also our
I mean,
Armored
look at
Adventures.
Elon Musk.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. But also, weirdly, Armored Adventures actually does an Extremis arc and
Yes, it
actually
does.
nails it.
Yes.
And that's been my and yes, I love the 90s Iron Man costume. It's very clunky, and I kind of like that it's clunky because
I
it
was gonna say
fits in.
I love that they used it in his cameo too, just like
Yeah,
the
like
everything.
Yeah,
sometimes
world's on fire, and two of the Avengers are chilling in a bunker.
Just standing.
right, just
Waiting.
chilling. Like I love that. I love the 90s look. I think there's a very like and this has been one of my DC gripes, but I love like the bright, colorful aesthetic. Like I don't like the heroes to be ashamed of their costumes. I like it to be bright and loud. So I love the 90s Iron Man costume. A fun animated show, by the way, too. But but getting the final thoughts here, I'll say I like the Bishop complaint, and then a few gripes. Oh yeah, when they suit up for the final episode and get their like new costumes.
Yeah, get their
my
original
god,
costumes. It's
my god.
Yeah, we talk about this in especially a lot of present day comic book cinema. It was like it was like them, and to bring another show that I despise into this is like Titans. It was like basically all of season 2 of that show was just meant to get Dick Grayson into becoming Nightwing and getting him in that suit. And this is the way to do it. This is the way to it's like this is just this is one of their old bases. This is just they kept a lot of their old suits here, and okay, let's go.
Yeah, and seeing Wolverine in like the orange, the black and orange is awesome. Seeing Cyclops in what I still think is his best costume, amazing. Seeing Storm in what like Mohawk Storm, I was like, oh my god, I was like, yes, like it just kept. He shows off. Wait, are you talking about me? I show off my.
No, he's talking about me.
Oh, okay. I mean,
like,
it clearly worked.
Dude,
I mean,
if you think I need to show off my cosplay to get women, then I have failed.
Fair point.
Disclosure, I'm happily in a relationship with a wonderful person.
Oh, I had a joke and I lost it. God damn it. but
that's how you get them. That's how you disarm them.
Hey.
Right. But at the end of the day, my biggest, and I'll spoil a little bit here. I'm doing a MCU wish list podcast on my birthday here on Saturday, and
number one, Blade to come out.
Goddamn, like at this point, that might be number one. But my big thing has been they have not nailed Storm yet in live action. It really bugs me. By the way, it should be Kiki Lane or DeWanda Wise. It should be one of the two of them for Storm. Those are my picks.
I don't know. I'm still mad at DeWanda Wise for Imaginary. So
was she in that? Oh, that's fair. Yeah, I know you did not like that.
I'm mad at her for Imaginary and Jurassic World.
To be fair, she's probably the best thing about Jurassic World. I know it's a backhanded compliment.
There is no good thing about Jurassic World.
Yeah,
I do hate that movie, but one of the two of them do, please. But I have admiration for this show. I have genuine admiration for this show because this got people talking. Some of those people are morons, but it definitely got people talking. Seeing so many people be hyped about X-Men, because it's probably
people hyped about X-Men, and then especially off the 2 episode premiere, it was like, wait, Cyclops is cool.
Yes. I've been saying
Yeah,
that for years, everybody.
like Cyclops is cool. Jubilee is actually fun. We haven't even mentioned real quick. Fucking Sunspot.
Yeah.
That evolution was so well handled.
Yeah,
And
if I had one complaint,
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of Sunspot's character development happened off screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like
Okay.
we could have had more time developed to him and his relationship Jubilee because when the penultimate episode happens, Sunspot's one of the people that goes to Magneto's side during the schism of the X-Men, and I feel like that happened a little too suddenly.
I would agree.
It was like there is that moment. It was like he comes out to his mom as a mutant and is like, "I love you and accept you, but you got to hide that shit because of our shareholders."
Yeah.
And I feel like we needed a little more time to explore that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if we had more time to breathe after the scene where the Prime Sentinels like came and got him, and his mama just like, "Oh, take him away." Like, if we had more time with him after that, then maybe we could understand him more. But I'm on your side, same side.
Mm-hmm. And I think
I need more to buy him fully going into Magneto's side.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. With that said, I think him and Jubilee's relationship, it's one of my favorites because of how complicated it does kind of get, and the fact that Jubilee, went through a very similar thing with her, with her own parents, and it boils down to what Cyclops said in the original series, that people fear what they don't understand. Like, sometimes it is just that base level. And man, that's not a mission statement for the whole fucking show. I even with those little gripes, I love the show. I love the show so goddamn much, and I cried several times.
I rewatched a couple of episodes today because I was getting ready for the show, and even in my favorite dialogue moments, it was like I caught myself tearing up. It was like, especially in the scene between Nightcrawler and Jean Grey about the nature of memory. And it was like I know I'm not his mother, but I remember how it felt to feel him kicking inside me. I remember hearing his cries. It's like, doesn't matter if you remember how it felt. I was like, God damn.
And can we haven't mentioned him yet. Mr. Sinister is such an asshole. He's such a dick. But
he's a cunt.
But I appreciate someone just like, and I think everyone to an extent has gotten to this like Loki frame of mind where you have to redeem your villain. Sometimes I just want my villain to be a prick, like just straight up a prick. Yeah, like
man threw a baby into toxic chemicals.
Just because. What would happen if I threw this baby into toxic chemicals?
It's so what I wanted from Black Manta in the last Aquaman. I'm just like, come on, man.
Come on. Like, there's a shot of Black Manta just like dangling the baby like this.
Kill that fucking baby.
Yeah, like oh, so good, like so good. It makes me so happy. He's such an asshole. It's oh my god, so good. But at the end of the day, this movie or this show just it really just nails everything as an X-Men fan that I wanted. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my most important properties, like to my geekdom. Before I ever read an Avengers comic, I was reading X-Men. It's the first comic I read, and it's incredibly important to me. And apparently they're season 3 is greenlit as well. I think they already said that that voice acting is mostly done on season 2, so I guess they're in the animation stage right now. Which fair enough, animation takes a while, especially this style of it. So I mean, take your time. If there is a complaint or one more complaint, man, Marvel, you have to nail this in live action. Like there's no excuse.
Bo DeMaio basically threw down the gauntlet of
like you have to nail this in live action. Like there's no excuse. And I'll be real, change the roster up. I don't even need Wolverine in the first X-Men movie. Like put in Sunspot, put in Blink for fuck's sake. Like put in someone, like put in some characters that we just haven't seen. But like
do the X-Men First Class roster.
That would be fun.
The comic.
Yeah, just like do that. But there's so much here to love, and it's clearly a labor of love from everyone who worked on this.
Marvel rehire Bo DeMaio because I feel like
depending on what he did, because we don't know what he did. Yeah,
depending on what he did.
Yeah, because which I'll be real, that's very weird to me that we still don't know what happened there. Yeah, that worries me a little bit. Like I'm not gonna lie, that worries me.
Yeah, because it was like this isn't the first time Marvel specifically has come under fire under the situation, especially with James Gunn, who everybody at the time when he was let go from Guardians 3, it was like, yeah, we all know this is bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, you can check the tape. I did a real talk. Rifle Out said that if DC doesn't hire him, it would be the dumbest decision they've made. And shockingly, they must listen to the show because they made a right call. But I love this show. It's just upgraded enough in the animation department to still feel like it's in the same universe that it originally had.
Yeah, and even I watched a couple episodes of the 92 show, especially the later episodes where the animation was like
that budget was getting cut.
That budget got slashed a lot.
Yeah,
that budget got slashed like it was Michael Myers. But watching especially the first 4 episodes, it was like, okay, this is, this feels in tune with the 92 show.
Yes. It's one of those shows where I'm excited to go back and rewatch it. But it's one of those things where it really does feel like art. And it's crazy that 2 of my favorite shows are Marvel animated shows this year, between Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which renew that shit for season 3, Marvel, for fuck's sake. And this, if you haven't watched,
I'm kind of in that same spot. It was like my favorite show, my 2 favorite shows of 2024 are this and Invincible.
Which I still need to finish. I still need to finish season 2. I know. I'm working through stuff, people. Okay,
kind of it is not your fault because of the release schedule.
I'm trying to start Gen V probably next week. I'm trying. I'm almost done with season 3 of What We Do in the Shadows. I'm trying, people. I'm trying to catch up on a lot of stuff right now. But please watch the show. Please watch Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, because that's another show that really deserves your attention. And that's on Disney Plus too. And that's a show that's made me cry multiple times, just like this did. Especially if you've got young girls, let them watch that show. But this is a fan-fucking-tastic at the highest degree. I can't wait for season 2, where there is a mid-credit that is very important, that if you've read the comics, you're gonna go, oh shit. Because I started laughing. I was like, oh no, I know where this is going now.
Yeah, especially in context of where season 2 ends, because it's like you get several members of the X-Men stranded in ancient Egypt, and they run into En-Saban Nur.
Yeah,
that guy seems cool, right?
He becomes Apocalypse.
Yeah, nothing fishy there. Which, by the way, that's how you should end your Fantastic Four movie. Just throwing that out there to set up the X-Men. Just Marvel, you know. And by the way, I've been saying that I've been saying that on the afternoon tune for like a year, by the way. So it's like there is tape to say that I've been saying this shit. But yeah, fan fucking tastic, highest across yeah. Brandon, final thoughts and grades, sir.
I love this show as well. Like
Yay.
yeah, that's it. No, but
good night.
No, I'm always going to be a supporter and a big, like just standing on my soapbox, like for animation, especially when it comes to superhero shows, because I feel like, I mean, we talked about all these '90s animated shows that we had, even like in the 2000s, we had an influx of superhero animated shows. Now it's kind of like very slowed down. We don't have a lot anymore.
Yeah, yeah, and especially with this show, it's kind of like that feeling of being a kid of, you know, when that initial boom of superhero movies was coming out. It's like, yeah, these were the stories I loved as a child, and now now everybody is like getting exposed to shit. This is absolute fucking fire.
Yeah,
I agree. And like just watching this, like I felt just so, I don't know how to explain it, just emotional. It's just a really great show. Like Hunter, I cried multiple times. Whether it's like just through trauma and sadness or just like
fair.
Or like just through their like successes. Like I love Storm's transformation, like through her arc. And yeah, the voice acting, like the actors that they bring back from the original show, the actors that they bring
like
new people.
If there is an Emmy category for voice actors, you gotta give it to Lenore Zann for Rogue.
Yeah,
especially in episode 7, because
she's one of the back. And
her breakdown in that episode, I sobbed when I first watched it. I was crying when I rewatched it today.
Man, she's like the MVP for me for sure. Rogue is like amazing in every single episode, and like her voice is who I hear when I read the comics. So like, shout out Lenore. She's been doing it since the '90s, so like, shout out her. But no, I love this show. I couldn't ask for more. I remember when people were like, "Man, this is gonna be bad. Look at the animation; it doesn't look good." And I was just like, "It's just
hold up. Let them cook."
Exactly. Just hold up. And like, I think the blend of 3D and 2D animation works so well with the show.
It really does.
It's like
is okay.
It reminds me a lot of Invincible when they are doing the highlight moments when they're like in their bag, or My Adventure with Superman, which when that show goes off.
And I saw a lot of people comparing this to Invincible. Of course, Invincible very recent ended very recently. And like, yeah, the animation in X-Men is better, but like I think like the best of both worlds is where we would get like, but Invincible like really excels at this, the long form superhero storytelling. Those episodes are an hour long. And so like if we can get like start getting more animated shows like that, like dedicated to telling these stories, like I would be over the moon. But as X-Men, where X-Men 97 stands now, it's like, yeah, fan fucking tastic. The best X-Men I've seen on my screen is better than is what I've wanted from the movies. It's what I want when I read the I mean, this show got me back to reading X-Men comics. So like what can I started reading the OG Claremont run, so like that's my first time
reading the best shit. Some of the best shit you can read.
Storylines that they're talking about or teasing in this is like really weird and crazy to see. But yeah, I love the X-Men. This is like the X-Men at its best. It's weird, it's most messy, and you can tell the people behind this are huge nerds and fans. I mean, like when you see one of the animators say they're a Marvel versus Capcom fan, that just makes me like love it.
And you can see it in a lot of the animation, especially the action set pieces. You know, like Cyclops is using his moves from the game. One of the prominent moves is Rogue, one of her moves.
Like one of her big old drop kicks. Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. So I love this show. I can't wait to rewatch it again. Just like you guys, my favorite shows have been animated superhero shows this year, and I can't wait for My Adventures with Superman to continue it.
Nick, final thoughts and grades, sir.
So I'm kind of have a little bit of complex relationship with the show because one, this was a show that I was watching before I started dating my current partner. Mm-hmm. And it was a show I loved, I adored, I had so much fun watching it, revisiting it, dissecting it, and then I got to show it from the beginning to my girlfriend and getting to see her appreciation for that show. It's like, well done, 12-year-old me. You found the one. And it was like, I'm so happy that this show is, for one, as good as it is, and I get to bond with somebody that I consider the love of my life too.
Aww.
But beyond the emotional sentiment that I have to it is like the animation is absolutely gorgeous. It is in tune with the 92 show, but updated, using a lot more of the modern techniques to get everything a little bit more fluid, get to do a lot of the things that you just could not do in the 90s, especially with showing off the different powers of the X-Men. It was like the Cyclops using his optic blast to, go between different opponents, using that as transit and giving us the hardest superhero landing of all time.
Yeah, so good.
Getting to see, the amazing action set piece between Wolverine, Nightcrawler, and the Prime Sentinels, and also some amazing wordplay. Like, I've got 6 reasons why. It's like, oh, mein Freund, 9. Like,
so good.
But have a show that is a revival of the 90s animated series, which I think I can speak for myself and a lot of other people. Is like, whenever we hear about, a revival of this thing from the past, a sequel, a reboot, requel, we kind of already have a little bit of this hesitation to it, because
absolutely,
like, do you especially with a creator, is like, are you trying to tell a story with this? Are you trying to expand the world? Are you trying to bring us back to that feeling of watching these Saturday morning cartoons, or are you just trying to sell a product?
Yeah.
And X-Men 97 is fervently in the latter. It's like,
great wordplay.
As of right now, this is my favorite show of 2024. I adore this series. I've rewatched episodes countless times. I've gotten to share this with the woman I love. I can't give this anything but fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah. Hell yeah. It was really cool because Alea didn't watch the anime series growing up, so it was really cool to finish the original OG show and then go right into this. I think we waited until they were at like episode. We actually waited until episode 5.
No.
Yeah, so we binge episodes 4 through 5, and then when episode 5 ended, I remember just going like, all right, I'm gonna go cry in the shower.
That's kind of the same situation I was in. It is because I binged it. I watched it with my girlfriend, but it stopped at like episode 7. I was like, that was where we stopped. Where the last episode I was watching, and then she was into it.
Oh man,
jeez. Yeah,
And she kind of put on that Kevin Durant. It was like, why don't you show me something if I can't have it?
Right. Well, because like that's been my thing just for review purposes too. It's been a little easier to wait until there's several episodes. But yeah, waiting until episode 5, and then I just went on. I was able to avoid full spoilers on each episode, which like that's my mutant power. So, but I had a friend text me. They're like, dude, like, have you watched episode 5? They're like, oh, I was like, no, I haven't watched any of it yet. And they just basically put ... Okay, cool. And I went, that's ominous. Why the dots? and then when I finished episode 5, I went, "Oh, that's why you. God damn it, that sucks." Like, what if Hunter's mutant power is smoking all the weed? Yeah, that's already been in my mutant power.
The real mutant power is not breaking down in tears at Rogue holding Gambit's corpse.
No.
Like, Sugar, I can't feel you.
Yeah, that shit just like. Yeah, that's the thing though, man. And I will say, just the last scene that just really got me is when Magneto and Xavier, they're like in his mind, and he's basically saying, I'll never let you drown, and like, and I'm just like, wow, it's like, God, like, fuck, really, like it's just so many moments like that feel earned, and I will say, my hesitation going into this was that Disney, let's call it what it is, has been whorish when it comes to their remakes of Mulan animated, let's make it live action, you know. So
Disney has been like the culprit of transferring from, you know, art to, you know, genuine cinema to just content house. And you know, I talked about it a lot with you know, how Blumhouse is, with especially with shit like Night Swim. And
I was waiting for Night Swim to come. As soon as he said Blumhouse, I was like, all right, Night Swim in 10.
Yeah, but every now and then it's like, it makes these projects feel that much more special. It's like, these are projects that have care, have people behind them that know and understand and love this property.
Yeah. This is how I know this was really a phenomenon. Because my mom told me that her work group, because they couldn't do a book club because people weren't reading the book, they started a TV show club, and this was the show they started with.
Hey!
Oh shit, let's go.
And she was over here emotional, crying and stuff happening with Rogue, and I was like, yes.
See,
but no, it's great. And I just want to shout out, I didn't like say it earlier, but the animation studio Mir, you know, worked on Legend of Korra, The Boondocks, Dynamite.
I see it now.
Black Dynamite's so good.
And I think they're working on the upcoming Devil May Cry series. So
they're real
good.
That's exciting to hear, because shit, that's got me interested. So I will just say in closing here real quick, don't shit on animation. Like, Nick's got it in his background there. Mutant Mayhem. If you haven't watched that, that's on Paramount Plus. Watch that shit. If you haven't watched Spider-Verse, that's on Netflix. Watch that shit. Like, there's
it's like if you have any love for film or for cinema, it's like, why deprive yourself of the best of it?
Exactly. But X-Men 97. God damn it, like, it's going to be a little wait for season 2, which admittedly sucks, but I'd rather have y'all take your time and get it right. So, like,
especially considering, because I feel like we can't talk about 97 without talking about the controversy of, you know, Bo DiMaggio being fired from the show. Before the premiere,
which is insane. Like, you never hear about that.
It's like, what did he do? It was so bad.
So, I mean, hopefully it's something that's not too bad, and he can potentially be brought back.
He's still tweeting.
Something that's mild. And even throughout the run of the show, it's like Bo DiMaggio has been very gracious. He's like,
he has.
Shout out. I was like, it was like, I'm only a small cog in the machine. It was like the other writers on the team, the animators, the voice actors. They're the real heroes behind X-Men 97.
Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully, you know, again, assuming let's be real. Like, y'all let Mel Gibson keep making movies. It
was like, Hunter, you talked about this a lot when we did the breakdown of, you know, the Will Smith slap. Like, there's always these like microscope that is brought into, you know, directors, actors, people of color, especially in Hollywood.
Yeah. I mean, I could go off my Jonathan Majors rant, but, you know, like, y'all know what that is, but at this point. But hopefully what he did wasn't too bad. Maybe he gets brought back into the fold. But But honest to God, though, like everyone who's involved with this, thank you for making this show. Like as an X-Men fan, this made me so happy. And to Nick's point, I'm so happy I was able to experience this with my partner. And like I knew it was good when my cats actually stopped what they were doing and would like watch it, like actually watch it. So yeah, X-Men 97, a tip of the cap.
It's like peak. It's my favorite show of the year so far.
Yeah, same.
And to be fair, I have a lot to catch up on.
Also, I'm next. So this week I finish up at least season 3 of What We Do. I'm gonna finish up. I'm gonna finish up Invincible. I'm gonna start Gen V next week, and then I start The Bear next week too. Man. So I've got. All I know, all anyone's told me is like, dude, there's cameos up the ass in The Bear, and I don't know any of them. So I'm actually like, oh, I'm excited to see what happens. But yeah, please watch X-Men 97 the moment you get the chance. Wow, man, we've been gone for almost 3 hours. Goddamn. So
time flies when you're having fun with your boys.
That is true. Like I actually just looked at the clock. I was like, oh wow, I didn't even realize it's been almost 3 hours. So I have a pay-per-view to go watch because I'm reviewing that tomorrow. Okay. So I've got my job never stops apparently. But before we get out of
yeah, my partner's stopped me when I went to take my recent bathroom break. It was like, you're cooking tonight. And it was like, shit. All right.
Yeah, we're doing baked pizza, so I'm stoked on that. But Brandon, please tell people where they can find you and all your stuff.
You can find me in your dreams. No, I am
I mean, if Brandon's showing up in my dreams, it's like
I'm your own dream scenario, man. That's what I'm here for.
Okay, by the way, if you have not seen Dream Scenario, that is a beautifully tragic film. Like that is like oh, I love Dream Scenario so much. Okay. Yeah, sorry, good.
No, yeah, I'm on the Twitter still, childish_Brando. But for all the movie watching reviews and your movie watching needs, I'm on Letterboxd at Brando, not Marlon. And otherwise, I'm just hanging with these two dudes whenever they invite me on the shows.
Hell yeah. I will definitely have you on here. So before I throw it to Nick, I am going to be doing some Pride Month reviews. So right now, off the top of my head, I don't have those in front of me, but I'm a cheerleader. Pray, which is this Netflix documentary. Baby Reindeer. I'm actually going to have my mom on to talk with me about that, which is going to be, yeah, I've actually never had my mom on a review in 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And so that's going to be kind of a trip. I'll be real, y'all. Baby Reindeer kind of broke me. I tried to review it and I just stopped that's 5 minutes in.
That's another show that I haven't watched.
Same. I gotta watch.
I would definitely space that out over like 3 days. I binged it, and I'll be real.
That's like the only like Netflix less known miniseries at the time I binged was Beef. And I don't know if I can do. I don't know if I can do it again.
I am legit telling you, as someone who binged it, spread it out over 3 days because episodes 4 and 5 in particular. Yeah, like episode 4 made me really sad. Episode 5 made me sad, pissed me off. So just be aware of that. Space them out. So I'm gonna have a review up for that for Pride Month as well. I'm reviewing. Oh God, what else am I reviewing? I think I'm gonna review Boys Don't Cry, but I'm gonna probably do that one solo because that's a bummer of a fucking movie, but it's a great movie. And then since my birthday's on Saturday, yay! I'm gonna have reviews for stuff that I just want to review. So we'll have reviews up for like Hot Rod, Hot Tub Time Machine. Gonna have
classics.
Gonna have some reviews up for that. I'm because Marco's been giving me shit for it. I'm gonna watch Goodfellas next weekend. I have that literally in my Google Calendar. I have never seen Goodfellas. I'm gonna watch it next Saturday. That is my one thing I have to get done next Saturday. Is watching a review.
Yeah, Jamarco, if you're watching in the chat, I haven't seen it either.
I won't tell him, but he's definitely gonna have some words for you.
Oh yeah, he's gonna. Oh man, makes me feel a little better. And then one thing I'm gonna probably have. I'll probably see if both y'all can be on for, and I'll see if Jean-Marc can be on for too. I'm gonna review The Social Network because I've never reviewed that.
Yeah.
I have seen it. I have seen it several
Dude.
times, but I was like, I haven't
Dude.
reviewed The Social Network. That would be a fun review.
Dude.
So
Give me like a week's notice. I'll set
I got
aside a
you.
day.
okay, I got you. I will let you know next week because I'm still figuring out schedules. But
Maybe
as far as
watch that one, that's God.
but as far as what I've got coming up on the Real Pineapple, Nick's got stuff coming up. I just want to get this out there real quick. I've got a review for American this Cam Cole documentary, American Mileage. Cam Cole, you know him as the musician from Ted Lasso who shows up for the benefit.
One man band from Ted Lasso.
Yeah, I actually interviewed him and the director this past week. So that interview will be live on Tuesday, same day as the review for the documentary. We talked for like 45 minutes. It was a really fun interview. Shout out to Cam Cole. He was really fun. The one tip that I will tease y'all with, he's tried every drug available except for crystal meth. So there's a fun and he talks about that. So we talk about like a lot in that interview. So that's one of my favorite interviews I've done. So I'll be live on Tuesday for y'all. And oh god, what else do I have coming up? I've got a review for all those Pride films, and then some of my birthday stuff coming up. Gonna have a review up for the Fall Guy, Challengers, and Furiosa all in the next week. So a lot of reviews coming out because I'm stockpiling. Nick, if you could tell the people where they can find you and what you've got coming up on the 18th.
Okay, you can find me personally on every social media, just like Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and Letterboxd at Night and Day Nick. You can find my show on everywhere you listen to podcasts at The Afternoon Tune. This week I'm doing like a couple fun 10th anniversary stuff because Josh is going to be away for a while, and with my work schedule I'm not as able to go to the theater, so I'm going to have a review for In a Violent Nature coming out next week. Also, I'm going to do a 10th anniversary review for The Guest. Some
that's a great
fun
one.
more fun 10th anniversary stuff throughout the month of June.
Yes,
but yeah, that's gonna be.
I'm hyped for In a Violent Nature. I think I'm gonna go see that opening night. I'm gonna try, hopefully.
That's all. I will be tuning into those as well. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. And then Saturday I'll have my stream. I am gonna pre-record it because fuck doing work on my birthday. But that'll be my my MCU wish list. I will drop 2 little teasers real quick.
One, wait to come out.
That is at this point that is one. But one of them, I want a Captain America, Captain Marvel romance that should fucking happen because Anthony Mackie and Brie Larson would just look great together. So I mean, come the fuck on. But 2, give me A-Force. Why the fuck have we not gotten the A-Force? Fucking like limited series, or do it as a Marvel special presentation. And then last thing I will throw out, give me the Power Broker and the 10 Rings working together against Shang-Chi and Captain America. Give me that shit.
Give me Michael Giacchino directing Midnight Suns.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah. I like that a lot.
He deserves it.
That's a really good one, actually. If you haven't seen Werewolf by Night, by the way, go watch that. That's
watch
fucking
it.
wonderful.
Fucking rules. Do you even like movies?
Come on.
Right, seriously, people. But Nick, Brandon, I am humbled as always by you guys making the time. I appreciate y'all being on.
This is like one of my first days off in a considerable amount of time. So I'm happy to set some time aside for a friend.
I really appreciate it, man. And my friends literally
not a friend, a brother.
I and the quote Zoolander, you mean that in the way that black people mean it. And on that note, I'm going to leave it there because that's a perfect way to end this. And my friends just got here, so perfect timing. Thank you so much, everyone. To those of you who have served or have had people serve on this Memorial Day weekend, thank you for your sacrifice, and thank you, Nick, and anyone who watches who has served. Thank you for everything that you've done. I hope you all have a safe weekend. Take time for your families. Take time for yourself if you need to. If you're like your boy and you're struggling like I am, just know that's going to get better. I know things are heavy right now, but good times are on the horizon. Sun will come up tomorrow. I love y'all. Thank you for your support. Never forget, as always, to keep it real. Take care, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
Keep it real.
Keep it real.